Hello. You don't know me, but I know you. I want to play a game. For over a year, you have sat and watched me share my thoughts on this channel. You have been consumer, always watching, always listening, but never looking inside yourself. You have spent hours at a time with a blank expression on your face as I have poured my brain out for your entertainment. Can you see where I'm going with this? As we speak, there is a comically large hammer poised above you, ready to bonk you on the head. Don't look up, it's there, just trust me. When it falls on you, the tables will be turned. I will get to watch your brain pour out for once, and maybe then you will truly understand what it means to be a mindless consumer. There is only one way to avoid this fate. Below this video you will find an image of 2 thumbs. You must click the thumbs up and the red button that says subscribe. And you must comment something thoughtful and engaging but with a comical twist. Make it entertaining. You must choose. What will you sacrifice? Your brain or your thumbs? Live or die. Make your choice.
With the chain, Tola Bell with the saw. Anthony Hopkins, I'm meeting them raw. They don't know who we are. Alright, I've threatened my audience. I'm ready to begin. Can we get some commotion for the DIY reverse bear trap? I mean, the details I put into this thing. I'd actually like to keep it in frame if I can, just so we can really appreciate it fully. Hold on. Oh, now we're cooking with gas. Hi, how are ya? Hi, welcome back. Last spring, over the course of a couple of months, my friend group watched every Fast and Furious movie. There were different combinations of people at every watch party, and very few actually made it from beginning to end. I am guilty of this. I only actually made it to Fast 5. I don't know why. You're not getting a Fast and Furious video. I'm sorry. But the crew that did make it the whole way through had an absolute riot. The inside jokes between them all, my small, inferior Fast 5 brain couldn't even comprehend. But lucky for me, they had so much fun that they wanted to watch another ill-fated franchise this spring, in the name of tradition. There were a few requirements to truly capture what made Fast and Furious so much fun. Number 1, it had to be a long series. Extremely long. Longer than it had any right to be. At least 5 or 6 movies. Number 2, it must be quotable. The characters must be constantly saying iconic shit. Number 3, it must have what I would call timeline fuckery. The 4th movie takes place between the 2nd and 3rd, but simultaneously with the 6th, bullshit like that. And number 4, it must be so hypermasculine and straight that it ends up being kind of homoerotic. The Rock and Vin Diesel want to kiss each other so badly. And wouldn't you know it, there is one series that checks all of these boxes. This spring, my friends and I watched all of the Saw movies. And this time, determined not to miss out, I attended every single screening. It has been the highlight of the semester. Every Saturday, or Sawterday as they came to be known, a group of us would head over to my friend Nat's house and collectively cringe for 2 hours. Some of us would dress up, I would make a thematic drink, we bonded. And there are only so many times in life that you watch every single Saw movie, you know? So I figured I should take advantage of the opportunity and make a video about it. I had a couple prior experiences with Saw. I had watched Saw 5 in high school with my speech and debate team. I don't know what it is with me and only having seen the 5th installment in a franchise, but apparently that's something that I do. And I'm a big YMS, Your Movie Sucks fan, and I've seen his Saw video hundreds of times. For some reason, it's kind of a comfort video for me. So I had a little bit of an understanding of what I was walking into, but nothing could have prepared me for the fascinating journey that is watching all of the Saw movies. I am now going to talk about that journey. I think this should go without saying if you're familiar with Saw, but trigger warning for everything. I don't think I can put clips of gore on YouTube, so I think you're safe visually, but we're gonna talk about gross things that happen. I'm gonna try my best to keep it under control, but that's what this series is known for, and it is bad. This is your warning. It is bad. You have been warned. There is also just so much plot here that I can't even conceptualize trying to explain it all myself. So I got some help from some of my friends who watched all the movies with me, and I'll be interspersing that as I talk. Hey guys! Welcome to our Saw Talk Back. These are my good friends,
Nat.
Ansley. Give them a warm channel welcome. We're gonna talk about Saw. So, do you want to say who you're dressed as today? I'm here cosplaying as Jigsaw.
I am Adam. And I am Dr. Lawrence Gordon.
Incredible. Okay, let's get into it. Saw 1. To summarize it as briefly as possible, James Wan and Lee Winnell were film school buddies with a big idea for a feature film. They'd been sitting on their script for a couple of years, and they decided to make a short film to show studios along with the script in hopes of getting the funding for a full feature-length film. They shopped it around their home country of Australia to little success. Finally, someone told them we might want it over here in America. So they did. And we did. The result was Saw. They shot it in 18 days in a single warehouse on a tiny budget of around $1 million. That's small for a movie.
They had a very low budget. It was one of the highest, grossing, highest
The
profits.
turnover was crazy.
Yeah, because it was like $1 million budget. Like, it was, they filmed it in 18 days. It was in a warehouse.
In one
warehouse.
All of the outside parts of Saw 1, outside parts, are so funny because they're so clearly in the same side. Gordon's house is a warehouse. The parking garage for the hospital? Warehouse. And it had a return of over $1 billion in box office sales and retail. It also spawned 10 sequels as of writing this video. Saw 11 is currently in production. It just got delayed, which we are crying over. The series follows John Kramer, an engineer, loving husband, cancer patient, and combination life coach serial killer, otherwise known as the Jigsaw Killer or the original Walter White. Jigsaw's thing is that he kidnaps people who, for one reason or another, he deems as not appreciating life enough. And he puts them in complicated traps where they have to solve puzzles or do gross shit or usually mutilate themselves in some way to avoid being killed. If they do die, he carved a little jigsaw puzzle shape into them as a cute little calling card, hence the name, the Jigsaw Killer. But the idea is that if someone is put in a position where they have to overcome extreme odds to survive, then they will go on to acquit of their sins and have a new zest for life. Jigsaw's motivation is that his cancer diagnosis made him learn to appreciate every single moment, and it really pisses him off when perfectly healthy people don't have the same appreciation. Well, and Jigsaw doesn't take kindly to people to anything, but to people. Everyone in the Saw universe is either a cop, a lawyer, a healthcare professional who we hate. We hate healthcare professionals.
Despise.
Or a serial killer, or a victim. But most of the time, these are the same.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or a drug addict,
Right.
who also we hate.
Yeah.
We hate.
We despise. Or depressed individuals.
Depressed people. Depressed individuals.
Yeah. List of people Jigsaw hates.
That's originally his motivation. It gets more complicated as the movies go on and they keep adding things to his backstory in order for him to have grievances with people. We'll talk about it.
That's his motivation. That's clean.
It
It's
is
okay,
clean.
his whole thing is he doesn't like people who don't appreciate their lives because he's going to die.
He's going to die.
So that's that makes sense.
It makes
And
sense.
then they're like, but what if 5 other things happen?
Well, because they need to keep finding grudges for John Kramer to have jigsaw trap victims. So they're like, okay, also before Lawrence told him that, this other guy mixed up the labels. And then this guy opened the door. I'm so excited to get to the door. He did not secure that door. A guy sold a motorcycle to Jigsaw's nephew. John Kramer's life
scary thing
is
for the
wrapped
future of this
with
franchise.
The fact also just that his name is Kramer will never not be funny to me. Like
They
they could
refer
have
to
picked
him
And it was
Kramer.
2004.
They could have picked any last
It was
name.
recent.
But the sort of justification in Jigsaw's mind is that he's really giving them sort of a gift, if you think about it. Technically, Jigsaw never killed anyone. He gives them a choice, and when they choose life, they are forever changed.
I've never murdered anyone in my life. The decisions are up to them.
This is a novel concept that is used gracefully in the first film, and will get muddier and muddier as we progress. The choice between dying or cutting off a foot? Okay, I can see it. The choice between dying or slowly sawing through your upper thigh with a wire to then stick in a bone marrow suction device into the bone and suck out enough marrow to fill up a tank that triggers a key to be released so that you can free yourself from your shackles within a timetable of 3 minutes. It's a little more... I don't know. So the Saw movies have sort of a formula of a main escape room style trap, which usually encompasses other smaller traps within it, and that main trap is kind of takes the center stage of the movie. And then we have a B plot of cops trying to find the victims to save them or hunt down Jigsaw to kill him, usually not to arrest him. The police brutality in the Saw movies is off the charts.
There's no brutality against suspects. What brutality? Let me tell you something. What brutality? What brutality? Huh?
As we get later into the series, there will be a rise in the cops doing less and less and more so just kind of having homoerotic tension with one another. And then the third part of every Saw movie is the twist. Something is revealed, someone says game over, and the movie ends. Wash, rinse, repeat for 10 movies. Okay, so we understand the who, what, when, and how, but why is Saw? Saw is sort of the hallmark of a horror subgenre called torture porn. Torture porn being basically what it sounds like. Ohio University professor Jeremy Morris wrote in his book, The Justification of Torture Horror, that there are 5 basic qualities of the genre. Number 1, the torture is non-interrogational. There are no questions being asked. It's just torture for torture's sake. Number 2, torture is the source of the horror. Makes sense. Number 3, the transformation of torturers and victims prompts role reversals. More on that in a moment. Number 4, the reversal of victim turned torturer justifies violence. Basically, revenge is warranted. And finally, number 5, there is a realist element. The torture is never supernatural, magical, or religious, at least not primarily. Let's apply these to the Saw series so you can get a better idea of what I'm talking about when I say torture porn or torture horror.
Ah, the rural juror. That is something.
Number 1, non-interrogational. Yes, Jigsaw isn't trapping people because he needs some kind of information they have. If anything, Jigsaw tortures his victims because he knows all about them and has decided that they're not appreciating life enough. Check. Number 2, torture is the source of the horror. Feels obvious, but yes. The scary part of the Saw movies is when the torture happens. Check. Number 3, role reversals of torturers and victims. This is strong in Saw. What gives it kind of a gray area is that I think this rule is supposed to apply more to like someone that is the victim of torture, somehow frees themselves, turns around and tortures the torturer, which doesn't really happen in Saw, so I guess in that aspect this fails. But I think what Saw does do with the victim-torture dichotomy is more interesting than this black and white thing. It's more gray. There's a lot of twist endings where someone who was in a trap is revealed to have been in on it with Jigsaw, and most Saw traps act as kind of a trolley problem where to free yourself you have to make the decision to kill someone else. So it's like you're kind of forced into being a torturer or a killer in order to avoid your own torture or killing. So it's maybe not exactly what Morris is saying, but I think it basically gets a pass for being even more interesting, maybe, than what Morris is saying. No offense, Jeremy. Number 4, victim turned torturer justifies violence. Essentially, revenge is warranted.
I'm gonna get you back.
Again, I think this is a pretty binary view of who is the torturer and who is the victim, and I think one of the Saw series' strengths is playing with the gray area between those two things. So it's a kind of yes, once again. And number 5,
the realness.
Realism. If you've heard of Saw, you've probably seen this puppet thing. If you're like me and you knew nothing about the Saw series, then you might have thought that this doll is somehow in on it. It is not. The doll is not alive. He's just kind of a guy.
Hello, Amanda. You don't know me, but I know you. I want to play a game.
Oh, Billy. We haven't mentioned
Billy.
And
And again, in the first one, is there any reason there's a puppet? No. I mean, I guess he just doesn't want to show his face on the video. But he has a tape recorder then also.
yeah.
The puppet is also only present in the reverse bear trap scene, correct?
Yeah.
Am I wrong on that?
No, he's in Adam's apartment.
He's in. Oh yes, he is in Alex.
And he like beats him with a baseball bat.
And then gets kidnapped by. So that was, but the studio Lionsgate said they need more doll. Was the exact words.
I got a feeling the only
Oh,
There's an argument to be made here that Jigsaw's traps rely on so many contingencies, he would have to be some kind of omniscient god to possibly plan them out. And to that I say, yes, you are correct. But it's not a literal plot point so much as it's just the writing getting worse. And that's where a lot of the fun of viewing the Saw series comes in. So, yes, check, whatever. Okay, so we understand how Saw sort of embodies the torture horror genre and how it kind of plays with the conventions of the genre. Cool. But why is torture horror? Is this what the world has come to? Torture for torture's sake? Are we a species of sadists who get off on viewing horrible things? Well, maybe, but I think that's a pretty black and white way to put it. Have we ever stopped to ask why we are the way that we are? Let's start with this. The horror genre reflects the societal fears of the time and place in which it was made.
You think you just fell out of a coconut tree? You exist in the context of all in which you live and what came before you.
Vampires are heavily based in Slavic cultural fears of immigrants and outsiders coming into the country and stealing their women and jobs. Frankenstein's monster is a fear of science going too far and of the disruption of natural cycles of life and death. Remus Lupin is an AIDS metaphor. I'm not joking. Look it up. J.K. Rowling, you will pay for your crimes. So, horror, like satire, is sort of a funhouse mirror for the society in which it was made. So when did torture porn start happening? Well, the early 2000s.
Well, I don't want to blame it all on 9/11, but...
Yeah, we're going there. After 9/11, there was sort of an unprecedented amount of torture being used in the war on terror. The American people learned what waterboarding was, and regardless of whether they agreed with its usage or not in this instance, it's a scary thing to know is happening, and that knowledge of torture sort of seeped into the American psyche. And when we don't know how to cope with what we're suppressing, we turn it into horror. And that's the why. Why was Saw such a success? Why did it not sell in Australia, but it did sell in America? Why did Americans want to watch torture? Because we knew it was going on, and we didn't really know what to do with this knowledge. It's sort of a forbidden fascination that was constantly being reinforced by the news and culture. And according to horror scholars that I've read, torture horror is sort of an outlet for that curiosity or fascination or fear or angst, maybe all of it at once. Interestingly, Saw 1 canonically takes place the day before 9/11. Or does it?
Two men wake up in a room. They do.
In a bathroom.
In a bathroom.
A dingy little bathroom. In a dingy little bathroom. And what day is it?
It is September 10th, 2001.
Can we, I feel we should address the 9/11 of it all.
Before we get to anything.
It's important to me that we address the 9/11 of it all. It was made in 2003.
Yeah,
so
made 3, came out in 4.
It was on that was a choice that was made.
I heard a theory recently.
Please share the theory.
I heard a theory recently that it does take place in 2003, but John set the date on the phone to be September 10th, 2011 to represent the calm before the storm. Which is a crazy thing to say.
I heard a theory that it was just the phone, was old, like he didn't deliberately do it. But I much prefer the idea of John Kramer sitting down and thinking about it.
And thinking, what would symbolize? But he would, though, is the thing.
He would, absolutely he would.
So, now that we kind of understand what we're doing here, let's get into the actual plot of Saw. So, like I said, each Saw film follows a certain formula. There's the main trap, which usually encompasses smaller traps. There's the cop plot, and there's the twist. These movies notoriously get messier and messier as they go along, so I think kind of having these guideposts will help us keep from sinking into the chaos of Saw. And yeah, I think they'll be useful in helping describe the plot to you. I have the most to say about Saw 1, which is the only one that's actually a good movie. And then as we go on, I'm gonna rely more and more on my friends' descriptions because I think they do a better job of conveying the sheer chaos of the latter-day Saws. I hope this video's descent into madness will sort of replicate the experience of watching the Saw series. Hi everyone, Editor Mary here. I was editing in a coffee shop and did didn't want to talk out loud to myself, so I'm in my car now. Also, I have a little boo-boo on my lip, so I'm angling to try to minimize it and serve face. I kept saying in the introduction part of this video that Saw 1 is the easiest to explain and the most straightforward. And that's true, but that doesn't mean that it is easy to explain or straightforward. I'm realizing as I'm editing that I'm really jumping back and forth from topic to topic, plot point to plot point. And the reason is that the movie itself is out of order. A lot of it is told through flashbacks or just otherwise non-chronologically. So I'm trying to explain things kind of the way that they occur, but also sort of in chronological order. I think I might have overestimated my ability to make the Saw film franchise easy to follow. Try to just enjoy the chaos and the fun of it all. Have a good laugh at me trying really hard to make this make sense. But if you're just desperate for a straightforward, well-rounded, easy to understand synopsis of the Saw movies, you may want to give it a Wikipedia or just watch them yourself. This is a bit more entertainment focused and humor focused and sort of giving my takes on things that happen. But in my defense, it's kind of an impossible movie to describe. So yes, enjoy, thank you, go easy on me, love you, bye, God bless. So in Saw 1, the main trap is the bathroom trap. This is the apartment where we watched all the Saw movies with our friends. And so for the first movie, we decorated with this sign that says Saw bathroom. And so then we continued to add on to it with every Saw movie. So we're currently in the Saw bathroom. Two men wake up in a gross bathroom, each with a leg chained to a pipe. Their names are Dr. Lawrence Gordon and Adam Faulkner Stanheight. Adam something
Faulkner
Stanheight. Faulkner Stanheight. Did they say that in the movie?
No, just sometimes in paperwork on screen they refer to him as Adam Faulkner.
Can we trust the paperwork?
Sometimes they call him Adam Stanheight.
Why are you a Gordon bias? Why are you an Adam bias? Like, get into it.
In relation to me being a Gordon bias,
please.
And I'm imagining this will be a similar sentiment to what you're about to say about Adam Stanheight. I don't know if I want to be with him or be him.
Yeah.
He's my little Boo Bear.
Uh-huh.
I am learning it's a trend with me in fictional characters that if they're vaguely British but not actually British, I'm like, that's my guy.
Yeah,
Which, to be clear, Carrie Elwes, who plays Lawrence Gordon, is British. And Lawrence Gordon is American. Just sometimes we lose that. Sometimes.
Throw me the player.
The same goes for Adam, who is played by Lee Winnell and who is Australian and keeps a pretty good lock on it, but also sometimes Adam ends up being Australian instead of American. There's a lot of people doing accents that are not theirs in the Saw. Very
pretty
true.
much exclusively doing accents that aren't there.
Adam is a little rat.
He's described literally as a
weasel,
a wet, pathetic rat.
Like a wet rat boy.
Like it's just like, and he talks like he's just trying to like out bitch everyone. Like he's just a little asshole.
He is.
And I fucking love him.
Just throw it to me. I'm not gonna risk breaking it.
He's just like pointing fingers and he has no fingers to point. They're trying to out cunt each other the whole time.
Oh, they're having a diva off the whole movie. The whole movie.
They're lip sync battling.
And it's just like, and it's, I feel like.
And Jigsaw is RuPaul. And Jigsaw is RuPaul.
Jigsaw is RuPaul.
He's a bottom feeder, just like you. What are you more pissed off about? The fact that I took some shots of you or the fact that I took some shots of you while you were cheating on your wife?
I did not cheat on her!
What do you care what I think anyway? I don't give a crap if you covered yourself in peanut butter and had a 15-hooker gangbang.
Oh! Damn!
In between them, there is a man face down on the ground in a pool of blood with a gun in his hand. I am dressed today as Floor Man. Woo! There is a camera recording them. They find a tape recorder and a tape where Jigsaw explains that they're in a saw trap, and this starts their escape room style scavenger hunt. He also explains that the man on the floor in between them had poison in his blood, so he shot himself.
There's a man in the room with you. When there's that much poison in your blood, the only thing left to do is shoot yourself. There are ways to win this, hidden all around you. Just remember, X marks the spot for the treasure.
As they uncover clues within the room, they find a phone whose date is September 10th, 2001, and it can only receive calls. And so they receive a call that lets them know that Lawrence's wife, Hallie, and daughter, Diana, have been kidnapped by Jigsaw, and the only way to save them is to kill Adam before time runs out.
Your aim in this game is to kill Adam. You have until 6 on the clock to do it.
Lawrence and his wife Allison have a daughter named Diana. There is a scene in the movie where Diana's like, "There's a bad man in my room," and both of her parents are like, "Shut the hell up, idiot." Crazy.
There's a man in my room.
Oh, honey, are you sure he's not just hiding in your imagination?
And, okay. And she wants Larry to go and comfort her. So he goes into her room, and what happens in the movie is he does the, like, this little piggy went to market, this little piggy, like that little thing. In the script, what he does is he puts her lampshade on his head, and he does a little song and dance that includes him slapping his butt and all this. And when Carrie Ellis read that in the script, he called Lee Winnell and was like, "I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. You've got to come up with something."
It's like the dance of the dunce.
Around and slap your ass. Yeah, I'm fine. "This is the dance of the dunce. You'd better watch carefully. I'll only do it once. You throw your legs out, you jump like a clown. You nod your head like this, and it takes away your frown." Diana screams with laughter. Lawrence bends over and begins slapping his behind. So the song was over when he started.
Lawrence Gordon doesn't have one song where he needs to be doing all that. He doesn't have one song where he needs to be doing all that. They find 2 saws that cannot cut through their chains because that's not what Jigsaw wants you to do with them, silly.
He doesn't want us to cut through our chains. He wants us to cut through our feet.
Through the course of their little scavenger hunt, Lawrence and Adam have kind of an arc of defensively lying to each other, to realizing they have to work together to live, to finally opening up to each other. And we see how they got here through flashbacks.
He was diagnosed with cancer. His doctor, an inoperable tumor. His doctor, Lawrence Gordon, was very cold to him when he announced this information. That's why he's in the trap. The cops paid photographer Adam to take pictures of Gordon because they thought he was Jigsaw. And Jigsaw didn't like that either, which is also implied Adam was depressed, so he really didn't like that. We hate people with mental health issues!
Get in the bathroom.
Meanwhile, this guy, Zepp, who's an orderly at Lawrence's hospital.
Zepp is like a janitor at the hospital, right?
What's an orderly?
I didn't know normal hospitals had orderlies.
What is an orderly?
In mental hospitals, orderlies are like the ones that keep them in line.
Oh.
They like
in like movies.
They're
I don't
like
think that happens in real life.
They're like not fully Benny Gesserit, but they're like acolytes.
Yeah.
They haven't taken the water.
The booming of Saw.
Zepp is an iconic freak of the Saw series.
He's an iconic
He's
freak.
the iconic freak of the Saw series.
Patient had...
His name is John. Dr. Gordon. He's a very interesting person.
Thank you for that information, Zeb. As you can see...
He's a creep, he's a weirdo. I don't belong here.
What the hell is he doing?
What is he doing here? He is revealed to be the one who kidnapped Lawrence's family, and to the first-time viewer, this gives the impression that Zepp is Jigsaw. I accidentally kind of already spoiled that that's not the case, but just for the sake of the experience, just pretend with me. Zepp must be the Jigsaw killer! Ah! Good job. Thank you. The cop plot follows detectives Tap and Sing, who are investigating the Jigsaw killer. You know what I love? I love Tap and Sing. I love the cop storyline in Saw 1. Because it didn't have to be there. Saw could have been a very compelling short film. A very tight short film. Mm-hmm. But it wouldn't have had the same character.
It wouldn't have.
And I'm glad they overstuffed.
Yes.
I am, yeah. Jigsaw took Lawrence's pen light and left it at the scene of one of his traps, so Tap and Sing think Lawrence is the Jigsaw killer.
I'm sorry, I can't be of more help to your investigation.
You know, we arrested a dentist last week. He liked to play with kids a bit too much. He lived 2 blocks from here. The sewer lines run under this neighborhood, too. Doctor.
When Tap is like, yeah, there was a pedophile a couple streets over. Good thing the sewers are running. Like some weird.
Okay, well,
sewers
run under this neighborhood too, Dr. Gordon.
Yeah,
What does that
he
mean?
was just telling Dr. Gordon that he thought he was Jigsaw.
Yeah. He was saying just because
In
you're
the
a doctor,
weirdest
just because you're a doctor doesn't mean you can't be a serial killer. I just found a dentist that was a pedophile.
Anyway, the sewers are
Normal
under your
thing
house.
to say.
Yeah.
What? By the
So
way,
weird.
you shit out of your ass also.
However, Lawrence has the wonderful alibi that he was almost cheating on his wife that night, kind of, but not really.
It's not like I know the rules for this sort of stuff. What's wrong, Dr. Gordon?
Look, what's wrong with me to make you come here?
He never actually does.
He
anything
does
with
not
her.
cheat on her.
He does not cheat on her.
I did not cheat on her!
He goes far enough that it's a problem.
It's certainly, but
He's definitely.
And if I was Allie, I would want to know about it and discuss it.
Yeah.
But
Just
it's almost weird to go that far and not follow through.
Well, I think that's probably because he's not attracted to women. I think there's a key piece missing.
There are some cop plot antics I'm not going to take the time to explain. I love Tap and Sing investigating Jigsaw's lair. There's a big, sort of fenced off area within this lair that seems to have something spooky in it, and they walk right in, and it's like, this guy that's known for traps, it seems we found his lair. Let's walk into this cage and investigate.
Technically the shotgun thing that kills Sing.
Oh my
That's part of
gosh.
an execution, really.
It's like the tripwire that activates a bunch of guns.
It's like, it's just funny.
But basically, Tap goes crazy and thinks that Lawrence is the Jigsaw killer, so he starts stalking him and paying Adam, local creep photographer, to take pictures of him about his day-to-day. Also, very important to note, is one of Jigsaw's past traps, the reverse bear trap. It's one of the most iconic scenes of the series. Basically, this woman, Amanda Young, was a heroin addict, so Jigsaw put her in this thing called the reverse bear trap that basically rips your face open if you don't unlock the back of it in enough time. And the key to the trap is in the stomach of a man that's on the floor in Amanda's room, and the tape tells her that he's dead, but then as soon as she starts, getting into it, stabbing him, he is actually very much alive, but at that point she's like, I gotta get out. Notably, Amanda is the only person to ever survive a saw trap at this point. Girl bossery, we love to see it. The first Saw is kind of very feminist, which will be derailed by the end of the Saw series. So Amanda survives the reverse bear trap and goes on to kick the drugs, and the reason we know about all of this is that as part of Lawrence's questioning, since they think he's the Jigsaw killer, Tap has him sit in on Amanda, telling her tale of how she escaped a saw trap. It's very odd. All you really need to know is that Amanda is a character, and at this point she's the only one to ever survive a saw trap. Moving on. Lawrence and Adam find a box of cigarettes and a note from Jigsaw that, hey, psst, you don't need a gun to kill Adam. The idea is to dip one of the cigarettes in the pool of poison blood from man on floor and then give it to Adam so that when Adam smokes it, he'll die. However, at this point, Lawrence and Adam have a budding romance. So Lawrence covertly passes Adam the clean cigarette, and Adam gives the performance of a lifetime. However, Jigsaw is too smart for them and electrocutes them using nothing. Don't worry about it. It's fine. At the same time, Tap is still watching Lawrence's house and not intervening.
Does Dr. Gordon know you're at home with his wife? What are you doing there?
Very helpful. Thank you, Detective Tap. Time is running short, so Zepp goes to tell Lawrence's family that he's gonna kill Lawrence, I guess, and he has them call the phone to tell Lawrence that Adam has been lying to him and he knows who he is, which puts a strain on their budding relationship. And now Tap intervenes, but doesn't really do much. Allison girl bosses her daughter to safety.
Stay on the ground.
Again, Saw 1 is very feminist. And Tap dies in the struggle, and Zepp makes his way through the sewers to the Saw bathroom. Lawrence sees that time is running short, and in a moment of desperation, saws off his own foot and then shoots his boyfriend.
Lawrence, it's not me who did this to you.
You have to die.
No, I want to live. I want to live.
Sorry.
I want to live.
My family.
Unnecessary. Hurts my feelings. Time was already up, idiot.
I'll fucking kill you, you fucking bastard. I'll fucking kill you. You fucking bastard. I'll fucking kill you. I'll fucking...
Carrie Ellis is like an actual actor.
Right.
Lee Winnell is
Yes.
not. And at the
He does well though.
He does well.
Like
holds
he's
his
been
own.
in movies other than this one.
Yes. The funny thing is that they start in, like, in my opinion, Carrie Ellis starts out acting pretty well in the movie.
He does.
And Lee Winnell starts out not acting well.
Yes, they switch.
And then they
Which-
go...
They're
It's
like
funny.
two ships in the night.
Yeah.
Narratively, that is also what Adam and Lawrence do.
Yes.
Because Lawrence is a guy who is very, like, he needs control of his life even, like, he, at one point, I don't remember exactly what the wording of what he says is, but, like, he's in his freak out era, and he's like, I had everything perfect, everything was perfect.
Yeah.
And, like, he's so militantly focused on having this perfect life that exists in his brain, but his life isn't really that perfect. Like, that's his thing with his wife, is that she wants real romance out of him. I wonder why he can't give that to her.
Well, we'll get to that next. Then Zepp arrives and says his most iconic line.
You're too late.
Why?
It's the rules.
It's the rules. But Adam is still alive, and he grabs the lid off the Saw bathroom toilet and beats Zepp to death with it. I'm gonna bring up the biblical imagery in a second, put a pin in it. With Zepp dead, we get the most important scene of the movie, the love scene. That is what the directors call it. Lawrence wastes a tremendous amount of unnecessary energy to crawl over to Adam just to tell him that he's gonna go get help and they're gonna be okay.
You're gonna be all right. You're just wounded in the shoulder. I have to go and get help.
Don't leave me. No. 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 No.
We need to talk about the love. We need to talk about the love scene. We need to talk about Adam and Lawrence.
Adam and Lawrence are in love with each other.
They are
emotionally.
Deeply
There's
true love.
It's sort of along with the biblical thing. And I also get like a Hunger Games thing with like Katniss and Peeta, bear with me. You put like two people in a horrible situation that they have no way out of. They are forced to bond and rely on each other. And it's also like in a weird like Adam and Eve thing. It's like it's as if they were the last two people on Earth, or the first two people on Earth, because it's just them in this room. And so it's like they have to, but like it is like in a sense this deep love, like that they have to survive.
Yeah.
It's about the hope, finding the hope in like destruction. And Adam, when Adam wakes up, from his perspective, he wakes up in a bathroom chained to a pipe with the guy that he has been stalking, taking pictures of, cheating on his wife. The way that they are ships passing in the night of starting out as, how can you be this calm doctor guy? Your wife and kid are out there. Of Lawrence being the calm doctor and Adam being like a loose cannon, and then them switching and learning from each other, but they learn in the wrong ways because it ends poorly. But they make he promises him.
He does promise.
And then there's also like the physical intimacy of being actually
finally
unable to touch
touch.
each other, and then when they're finally able to, like, just the desperate grabbing onto each other.
Oh my god.
Like it's like heart-wrenching.
It's heart-wrenching.
Stomach churning.
Yeah.
It's, why are we being so erotic for a Saw movie?
It's more erotic than any sex that they could have had.
Why did you need to go? For Lawrence, logistically, there's no reason he had to waste all that energy crawling over to Adam.
Especially, and that shows a move in arc for him, because beginning of the movie, Lawrence would not have wasted that time. He would have got up and left Adam.
Like it is moving. And it's like crazy because it's Saw.
Because it is Saw.
Because they have uttered the words, I wouldn't give a crap if you covered yourself in peanut butter and had a 15
It means so much more than, and it is that like pit of like absolute human desperation, like beyond what anyone could envision. And in that moment, like he's like, don't leave me. And then he's like, he's like, we're gonna be okay. He's like, I wouldn't lie to you. After like the whole theme with like lying to each other.
Every day I rediscover the genius of Saw 1.
It is heartbreaking. Truly, I was moved. Lawrence slithers out of the bathroom, and then the final part in any Saw movie, the twist. Man on floor rises, revealing that he was Jigsaw the whole time. Zepp was in his own saw trap, forcing him to hold Lawrence's family hostage. I said that funny.
I got an open house tomorrow, and Mark was supposed to shovel the walk and salt the carport.
I can barely understand you, but let me help while I'm here.
Jigsaw leaves Adam in the bathroom to rot and drops the iconic bar, "Game over."
Game over.
Game over. No! So that's Saw 1. It's a great time. A couple of discussion points I want to bring up. Number 1, there's kind of a lot of religious imagery here.
So Adam is he's our entry point into the entire Saw universe. He's the one that we open on him in the bathtub. This is also, you cannot talk about Adam without talking about the biblical imagery of he is being baptized.
He literally is!
He is being baptized. They are in the Garden of Eden. His name is Adam.
Also, raise your hand if you were raised Catholic or went to Catholic school. Or Christian. There we go. So that's where we're coming from. I recently watched Darren Aronofsky's Mother for the first time, which, by the way, great movie, but not to be taken lightly by any means. It has joined The Wall in the category of movies I love and deeply respect, but never want to watch ever again. But I was absolutely mind blown after watching Mother, reading that, spoiler alert, I guess, it's an allegory for the events of Genesis in the Bible. Now, one thing about me you have to understand. I will absolutely devour any kind of biblical reference, imagery, whatever, in media. Me when something has biblical symbolism, see my Big Lebowski video for more. I like it. I enjoy it. So, of course, I immediately pulled this out of Saw, whether it was intentional or not.
So he's baptized. The thing that I realized this in like a brain fog and I remember
when you were
rapidly
meditating
texting
on
me.
Saw.
I was meditating on Saw, and I was like, John the Baptist, John Kramer,
The
Baptist. And their Garden of Eden is this shit-covered bathroom. And they find themselves there, and they're the only two people.
I only thought of this one while writing, but Adam beating Zepp with the toilet lid is kind of Cain and Abel coded. Saw 1 is kind of Genesis, which is made even better by the fact that it is also the first installation of an extremely long, contradictory, and non-univocal work with a deeply dedicated following. What I'm trying to say is that Spiral from the Book of Saw is Acts, and Saw X is like the Gospel of John. This is my most niche take, and I will not be explaining it. You just have to trust that I'm correct, because I am. You could read the Saw series as a whole as sort of a dark inversion of the Bible, where Jigsaw acts sort of as God or Jesus, but instead of suffering for others, he forces other people to suffer in a way of making them improve themselves. Of course, results will vary as we get deeper into the series. Number 2, voyeurism. Watching and being watched is a huge theme of this movie, maybe the biggest theme of the movie, down to the title. And then there's like the whole voyeurism aspect, and if you think about it, the movie is called Saw, which hit me like a week ago when I was sitting meditating on Saw right now, as I often do. Jigsaw watches all of his traps as they go down from very close by. Tap stalks Lawrence's apartment and pays Adam to take pictures of him. Jigsaw even calls Adam a voyeur on the tape.
Up until now, you've simply sat in the shadows, watching others live out their lives. But what do voyeurs see? when they look into the mirror.
So what? People are looking at people. What does that mean? Well, if we're connecting Saw back to the torture horror genre, my interpretation is that the voyeurism theme is sort of calling attention to our role as viewers. Are we not acting as Jigsaw when we watch this? When you watch a Saw movie, you are up close and personal, enjoying watching people suffer. And yes, we know that it's fiction, but it's not necessarily unrealistic? I guess that's debatable. But if we think about the 9/11 connection, I think Saw could be read as a commentary on how the American people just sort of sat back and watched this kind of human suffering go down. I mean, within the tragedy, obviously that was a colossal amount of human suffering. And then also in the government's interrogation methods and war on terror afterward. I think there's even a connection to be made here with like Homeland Security, sort of a post 9/11 fear of being watched or having our privacy invaded. Just as we were watching, we were being watched. Or should I say, being saw. We were, should I say, we saw them and they saw us. There it is, I found it.
We here for you. So that might be like, we here for you, man, because you don't need to hear we here. Yeah, we also, we here for you.
In conclusion, Saw 1 is a deceptively genius low-budget film that redefined the horror genre with plenty of room for critical analysis and interpretation. It also spawned one of the most hilariously ridiculous franchises ever that only gets dumber as it goes. Let's just pause together and take a breath and fully appreciate what Saw was and could have been. Okay, now let's dive headfirst into the bullshit.
We are back for Saw 2. Ainsley has de-wigged. I've de-wigged. Gordon is not in Saw 2. I can't represent him. Saw 2 takes place in the nerve gas house, correct? Yes. It does take place in the nerve gas house. We're in the nerve gas house.
The filming situation has changed ever so slightly. I'm in the process of moving again, which I know probably seems unhinged. To you guys, I've only lived here for one video, but for me it's been a whole year. And I graduated college, so I'm out of here. And also the people next door are having like a party of some kind and they're playing rap music. So hopefully you can't hear it in the background, but if you can, whatever. It's what Saw 2 deserves. I'm gonna be honest. I did not care for Saw 2.
I did not care for The Godfather.
What?
Did not care for The Godfather.
How can you even say that, Dad?
Didn't like it.
Peter, it's so good. It's like the perfect movie.
This is what everyone always says.
I'm gonna try to spend as little time here as possible because it's not that good, but it's also not that funny.
I'm gonna be honest, I think Saw 2 might be the one I remember the least. I wouldn't say it's my least. Well, it might be my least. It's hard to say what my least favorite is. Saw 4 and Jigsaw. Jigsaw was bad. And again, I'm a big YMS, Your Movie Sucks, Adam King. Big fan of him, and so that was my main experience with the Saw series before watching them myself. And so I can't help but quote him on a lot of things, and I may not realize I'm doing it, so just shout out Adam, anything I say that he said already. But he said something about Saw 2 in his video about it where he's like, it's not nearly as good as the first one, but it's not quite bad enough to be funny yet. Yes, and that's exactly what it is.
This is the first installment of the Saw series with Darren Lynn Bousman as screenwriter and director. He wrote a completely original premise about a serial killer torturing a group of people in a house, and he tried to sell it, and they were like, this is Saw, and he was like, word, and then he got Lee Winnell on board, and they were like, cool, now it's Saw 2. That should set you up right for how this is gonna be. It was a Saw knockoff that they said, nah, that's fine, it can just be Saw.
That makes a lot of sense, because it does not feel like Saw. Like, already this is a different thing. There's a Saw ripoff that was made to be Saw. That sucks so bad.
For Saw 2, I'm gonna start with the cop plot because it's actually woven into the main trap. So, the cop plot follows Eric Matthews, also known as What Brutality? What Brutality?
What brutality? What brutality?
This is a twist that's revealed later, but I'm just gonna tell you now because I don't care enough to make you wait for it. Detective Matthews framed a bunch of people for crimes to ensure they went to jail. Bad move on his part. So that's why Jigsaw has put him in a trap of sorts, although he kind of gets the long end of the stick. He really doesn't have to suffer that much until the very end. He really doesn't suffer as much as most of the people in this movie. The movie opens with the Venus flytrap, which is just the reverse bear trap in reverse.
In the first one, they like play their cards close to their chest until they know it's like, okay, it's foot time. You know? It's foot time. And when it's foot time, the first scene is giant mask of spikes crushes your face in if you don't dig your eye out. The whole way through. Yeah.
One of Detective Matthews' police informants is in this reverse bear trap with the key to get out sewn under his eye, which is yucky. I'm only mentioning this because it will have later plot twist implications in like Saw 7. You don't have to remember anything, I'll bring it up later. Or maybe I'll forget about it too because there's a lot to keep track of here. The main trap is the nerve gas house, which includes 8 people total, including Detective Matthews' son, Daniel.
There's that girl. There's blonde girl, there's brunette girl, there's
Daniel.
asshole. There's
No, not Daniel. Boy.
Oh, there's boy, there's Daniel.
Daniel.
And Amanda, who you may remember from Saw 1, she survived the reverse bear trap. She is back with a fresh new haircut look that I have tried my best to replicate for you today. And she is back in a saw trap. This is her quarter quell, if you're a Hunger Games fan.
This is just like the Hunger Games. Happy Hunger Games, bitches! This is like the second book, Catching Fire.
This is the Hunger Games, darling. It surely is.
This is the quarter quell of drag. This is all the victors coming back one more time.
12 tributes enter, 1 leaves.
So again, this twist is revealed later, but I'm just gonna tell you because I don't care. What all of these people in the trap have in common is that they were all the victims of Matthews' police framing. They've all been arrested because Detective Matthews planted evidence. Except for his son, but his son is just there so that Matthews, like, cares at all about what's happening in the nerve gas house. So yeah, they're trapped in a house that's pumping in a nerve agent gas that will kill them all in 2 hours unless they find all the antidotes, which are hidden around the house in gruesome ways. For example, within a furnace or the infamous needle pit.
Let the game begin.
Somebody's going in there. Now look, this somebody's fucking going in there, man.
What did you do? Or the Magnum eye hole trap, or as I would call it, door rigged to a gun.
Do not attempt to use this key on the door to this room. Fuck this, man. This is all a fucking big goddamn joke, and I'm about to end it.
Boo! That's not a saw trap! Boo!
Here's the thing. And for me, personally, anything with a gun is no longer a saw trap.
No.
Yeah. You're just... If that's just a gun. That's just
you're
a
just
gun.
shooting people.
That's not a saw trap. Don't open the door or you'll get shot. Oh, epic trap.
In the first movie, he has fucking glow-in-the-dark paint on the walls
Yeah.
to lead them to a box with a cigarette that
There's
tells him
steps.
to it's an escape room.
Yeah.
Like there's it's a psychological element to
He's
it.
fucking with them.
He's fucking with them for 6
Yeah.
hours.
Yeah.
And in this one, it's like, don't open the door, you get to, oh, don't go in the pit.
Matthews isn't actually in the trap. The nerve gas house is ultimately his test, but he doesn't actually have to go through it. Basically, the whole movie, Matthews is in Jigsaw's lair with him, and they're just, like, hanging out. And John tells him very early on, like, if you just stay put, your son will get out fine. Like, just don't do anything, let the timer run out, and you'll be fine. And, of course, Matthews doesn't trust him because it's Jigsaw, but listen, as a general rule in the Saw series, if Jigsaw tells you to do something, he's usually telling you the truth.
Do not attempt to use this key on the door to this room.
Like, Jigsaw's a lot of things, but he's not a liar. Like, if he gives you instructions, you should follow them. I kind of really look like Amanda. Sorry, I need to call attention to the serve. Like, this is Hot Topic slay. So Detective Matthews and Jigsaw are in Jigsaw's lair, and they just kind of talk the whole time while they're watching a live stream of the nerve gas house. John talks about his motivations, which now it's revealed that not only does he do this because he was diagnosed with cancer, but also because he tried to kill himself after he got diagnosed with cancer, but he survived, and surviving it is what really motivated him to do the Jigsaw traps. Great, surely 2 things are more effective than 1. And the whole time Matthews is like, tell me where they are, and Jigsaw's like, no, and Matthews is like, okay. So whatever, the nerve gas house continues, people die. I don't care enough to tell you any more details than that. This one is so boring. Finally, it seems that Daniel, Matthews' son, is in danger. So Matthews is like, tell me where they are, and this time Jigsaw's like, okay. So Jigsaw brings Matthews to the nerve gas house, which, twist, is actually built on top of Saw bathroom, or rather Saw bathroom is the basement bathroom of the nerve gas house, but nobody's there. Why? Because the video they've been watching wasn't actually a live stream. It was filmed like 2 days ago or something. And the whole time Matthews' son, Daniel, was actually just in this like safe in Jigsaw's lair, in the room they were in the whole time. And when the timer ran out, the door is unlocked. So he literally could have just sat there and let the timer run out and everything would have been fine. Again, Jigsaw's a lot of things, but he's not a liar. If he tells you instructions for how to win a trap, you should believe him. So yeah, Matthews is in the Saw bathroom, and then someone in a pig mask knocks him out and beats him up a little bit. Jigsaw's goons wear pig masks. That was a thing in Saw 1 too. It just kind of didn't really come up, but that's always been a thing. That will continue to be a thing. The pig masks are a staple. And then Matthews wakes up and he's chained up in the Saw bathroom in sort of an homage to Saw 1. And twist, it's Amanda who put him there.
It is I who will carry on John's work after he dies.
She was in on it the whole time. She was Jigsaw's guy on the inside. To be clear, she survived the reverse bear trap of her own volition. She was not in on it for this, but after she survived this, she joined up with Jigsaw and became his apprentice. It's important to me that we don't devalue her girl bossery in the reverse bear trap, okay? Anyway, Amanda helped set up the nerve gas house, so she gets to recreate the ending of Saw 1 with Matthews, slamming the bathroom door and going, game over.
Fucking bitch. Game over.
I'll fucking kill you!
And that is Saw 2. I feel like Saw 2 got the wrong message about what people liked about Saw 1. Because honestly, Saw 1 isn't that gory. Like, there are some flashback traps that I didn't talk about because they're a little icky, but you don't really see too much. I mean, there's like a couple, but a lot of stuff is implied or off screen until you get to Lawrence cutting off his own foot. But that's like the peak. Like, that's like the worst thing that happens. Even the reverse bear trap doesn't actually happen because Amanda escapes. In Saw 2, we open up immediately with the Venus flytrap, and that happens. I just feel like they completely got the wrong message of what people appreciated about Saw 1 and said, okay, they want more gore. Let's top ourselves and add more gore. Saw 2 is somehow more boring, but also more gross. And something else that it does is it facilitates this slippery slope that we will continue to slide down until the end of the Saw series, where we cannot trust the chronology of the information that's being presented to us, and everybody's always in on it. So first of all, with the timeline, from this point onward, pretty much any scene we are shown may or may not take place in the modern day or in the order it is being shown to us. And yes, Saw 1 had a lot of flashbacks, but it was presented clearly that they were flashbacks. Saw 2 uses the live stream not being a live stream as a twist, and you know, that's kind of fun, that's kind of interesting. But the way that they heighten this in the coming movies is that not only are flashbacks or videos were being shown not really from the time we think they are, but it'll start to just be literally any scene in the film could be taking place at a different time. Now that we've used the twist that something was not happening at the time we thought it was happening, we can have no faith in the reliability of the narrative and trust they will use this as a twist. Saw 2 is the start of the timeline fuckery. Secondly, it was a crazy, mind-blowing twist when Jigsaw got up off the floor at the end of Saw 1. That moment is like a drug. Like, every time I watch Saw 1, it's still shocking. I knew the twist of Saw 1 going into watching it, and it still like gave me chills to see him get up off the floor. It's not as effective with Amanda because nothing could top that, but we let it slide because we love Amanda, and she's one of the most iconic characters of the Saw series. She's a bona fide girl boss, and we like to see her do her thing. But again, along with the timeline being screwy, the they were in on it all along ending will continue to be used to more and more diminishing returns as the series goes on. Amanda is probably the last great twist she was in on it all along character.
There goes the last great American dynasty.
I guess I could really rack my brain to think of more to say about Saw 2, but I won't. This is a very whatever sequel. It's not the best Saw movie, but it's also not the worst. Unfortunately, I think it's the most forgettable, and that is the greatest crime a Saw movie can commit. I was gonna try to write more about it, but then I was watching the clips of me and Nat and Ansley talking about it, and we didn't even talk about it that much.
Can we go to 3? Can we, I want to talk about it too.
Most most of our discussion is us going, I hate Saw 2, I don't want to talk about it, and then we move on. So I feel vindicated, this is all I'm gonna say. Onwards and, well, downwards, but in a funnier, more entertaining way. Final appreciation of the Amanda look. Thank you. Game over.
Saw 3 is... Which location are we at? Saw 3 is... Jigsaw's lair.
My name's Jeff. Detective Matthews breaks his own foot and escapes Saw bathroom, and that is the last we will hear from him in this movie. This will not be the last time that Saw includes a scene like this that means absolutely nothing to the casual viewer who's just here to see a spooky movie because it's Halloween. Really, it's the first case in a grand tradition of Saw lore dumps that alienate the casual viewer. The main trap of Saw 3 is Jeff's trial. This is Jeff. Jeff is a doctor. That's kind of his only personality trait.
Oh, this is with the doctor and Jeff and Lynn. Jeff is our protagonist.
Jeff is the worst and I love him so much.
Jeff?
He does nothing.
He wakes up in a box.
He wakes up in a box on a forklift. Why?
No reason. Who knows?
I am dressed as Jeff today. His son was killed by a drunk driver, and I guess Jigsaw thought he wasn't grieving correctly. So he has to go through a bunch of rooms where people involved in the case are in various compromising situations, and he basically has to learn forgiveness and save them from certain doom, even though they let his son's killer walk free. Sort of following in Saw 2's footsteps, where the trap is actually meant for this person, even though a lot of other people have to suffer to prove a point.
He has to decide whether to save the people that killed his son.
Yeah, which is psychological. Like,
Which
that's
good.
Already stronger than
Good.
2.
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay, there's a psychological element of like, he's watching the people, voyeurism again. He's watching the people get killed or tortured. Like, he has to decide. It's like forgiveness. That has something
and it's biblical
to it.
too.
It is biblical.
It's Saw 3 is both actually better than Saw 2 and it's dumber than Saw 2, which makes it just better on all accounts. At the same time, another doctor named Lynn has been kidnapped by Amanda and Jigsaw, and she's in a trap called the shotgun collar, which is what it sounds like. Basically, John is not doing very well, and so Lynn has to give John brain surgery, but if John's heart rate drops below a certain level, it'll automatically set off the shotgun collar.
And John is doing bad.
Peepaw's sick.
Peepaw's sick.
Peepaw Wawa. This was the origin of Peepaw Wawa.
At this point, I feel it's important to say, Lynn was supposed to be Lawrence Gordon. Cary Elwes was in a wage dispute with the production company because he was promised an amount they did not give him.
That's so funny.
Yeah, for Saw. So he did not return for Saw 3. And this also starts a trend of characters that were just clearly supposed to be Lawrence Gordon.
Well, because everyone in the Saw universe is a serial killer, a lawyer, or a healthcare professional. Amanda and Lynn are in love with each other. Actually, scratch that. What they have is purely physical.
You have to keep John alive until he makes it through. If he completes all of his tests and John is still breathing, then I will remove your collar and you're free to go.
Amanda and Lynn have tension.
Amanda and Lynn, okay, this is the beginning of the gay relationships in Saw. Like, Lawrence and Adam were true, pure love in a time of darkness.
Yes. Gender was irrelevant.
Yes. Now, Amanda and Lynn are just getting freaked.
They're just...
I think really it's that Amanda thus far has been playing like the victim.
Yeah,
not playing the victim. She's been
victimized. And this is the first time we see Amanda operating as
like a
Jigsaw.
villain.
Yes. Yeah.
And I don't know if maybe Shawnee just this is how she plays a villain and this is the first time we're seeing it, but it's very like, you better fix him or I'm gonna. It's very.
There's a lot of. Can I get close?
Oh, there's a lot of being like
this.
Charged.
Yeah.
And good for them. Happy Pride. There's actually not much of a cop plot in this one. Detective Carrie, aka Girl Cop, who has been sort of a secondary cop character throughout these first 3 movies, she is killed in her own saw trap, which notably is rigged. She does what she's supposed to do, and she still gets killed.
The woman cop dies, she gets her ribs ripped out.
Oh yeah, that was icky.
In a very rigged trap. It was icky.
Because she has to like reach in.
She has to reach in a vat of acid.
But the acid will pour out.
And also she had to have understood that if the metal was sewn into your ribs, even if you got the key to unlock it,
What are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do? It's in your ribs.
That is because Amanda made this trap and she no longer believes in John's philosophy about reconciliation and rebirth. She just wants to kill all the bad people at this point. By the way, I forget when this even occurs, but at some point we get to see Amanda setting up the bathroom trap from Saw 1. And then there's like also a part where she goes back and like when Adam is the last one left, like after the end of Saw 1, she comes in and strangles him to death, which like, you know, I guess I'd rather that than have him like slowly starve to death, but still it's like kind of insult to injury to actually see Adam die.
Not good.
It's not good, but at least he
starving.
went quicker, you know?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. Sweet angel. Maybe he didn't go at all though, because the chain's on the wrong foot.
Yes, so let's say this.
When we see his corpse in later movies, the chain is on the wrong foot. When
It's on the right foot.
Yeah, when in 3, in the flashback, John Kramer explicitly tells Amanda, put the chain on his left foot.
And every time after that we see his corpse, it's on the right foot. That's such a big detail to fuck up when you're recreating.
But here's what I
the
think
set.
happened here, and I think the fuck up was in the script. Because it's on his right foot in the movie, but from the audience's perspective.
From house left.
It's house left, not stage left.
I don't know, just some added information there about how Saw 1 ended up that we're peppering in for backstory here. I know this one's chaotic, try your best to keep up. Jeff makes his way through these little vignettes of people involved in his son's case. My favorite of these, and by far the goofiest, is the pig vat. The judge that let Jeff's son's drunk driver killer go free is chained by the neck and arms to the bottom of a vat, and there's like a seemingly endless conveyor belt of pig corpses, because they're in a meatpacking plant.
This is the start of the meat factory.
This is Gideon meatpacking.
I don't know if this is specifically Gideon meat packing yet, but it is a meat plant.
Jigsaw's real estate portfolio is growing. And they're like covered in maggots and like decomposing, and they go through this like grinder thing that like grinds them up into like liquid pig juice, and then it shoots it onto the judge. And so the threat is that he is going to be drowned in pig juice unless Jeff burns enough of his dead son's belongings. This one is very dark. This is not scary to me.
It's just gross.
Because it's just ridiculous.
It's absolutely ludicrous.
It's too much.
You've gone too far. And they also in production like the giant pigs that they had on, like it's also just like the way that it's shot.
It's so stupid.
Like they have like
You see the hanging pigs on a conveyor belt.
And the pigs are so clearly fake.
Yeah.
And they're giant things, but they had real maggots that they like threw on the pigs.
They were real maggots?
They were real maggots that they bought and had to soak the fake pigs in. And they like roll them out, and it's like, this is just silly.
It is silly.
It's silly.
Like being trapped in a gross, dirty, smelly bathroom full of actual literal shit and having to saw your foot off with a dirty saw. That's viscerally scary and gross. Pig vat.
This vat is also, the guy does not die in the pig vat.
No.
Jeff saves him, but
Good man, Jeff.
after he is unable to save the guy in the rack, Jeff does forgive the guy in the rack, but he's unable to save him in enough time. A random gun that's in the room shoots the judge from the pig vat and kills him.
yeah!
What a shit day, man.
I hate Mondays. I just can't win today. Jeff passes all of his tests and is rewarded with a gun. He is led to a final room for the final confrontation. Lynn's surgery on John is complete, and John tells Amanda to let her go, but Amanda says no because she sees John as like a father figure, and at this point she's jealous because John has been like very nice to Lynn throughout this whole thing, and John is like, Amanda, you should really listen to my instructions. I'm telling you, it's for the good of everyone if you let Lynn go. And in a rare moment, Amanda does not listen to Jigsaw. She instead shoots Lynn with a gun. She's still alive though. She gets shot, but Lynn is still alive. At that very moment, Jeff barges into the room because this is the final room of his trap. Twist! And also Lynn is his wife. Twist! He sees Amanda shoot Lynn, so he shoots Amanda. Rest in peace, Amanda. You girl boss too close to the sun. John is lying there and he's like, Jeff, you've made it to the final test. The ultimate test of if you've learned forgiveness or not. You have to forgive me for putting you in the saw trap. I love that this one has a theme. I love that forgiveness is kind of the idea. It's very much playing into the biblical imagery. I didn't mention it, but the actual drunk driver is one of the vignettes of Jeff's trap, and he's put in this thing called the rack, which basically like twists his limbs. It's very yucky, but it's very much a crucifix position. Saw 2 was a misstep, but they're back to the biblical cooking on Saw 3. John reveals that actually this whole thing was Amanda's test because he knew that she was rigging traps to just kill people, and he couldn't have that, so he wanted to give her one final chance to follow his philosophy, and she failed. So Jigsaw asks if Jeff can forgive him, and Jeff responds by slitting his throat with a buzzsaw.
With a giant ass buzzsaw before he does, Jigsaw drips some wax on tape and swallows it. Peepaw needs Wawa.
It's not over.
Peepaw's gonna need some Wawa to get that down.
Rest in peace to our beloved Peepaw. However, since Jeff has killed Jigsaw, his heart rate drops, and so Lynn gets shot and dies too. And that is Saw 3, the end. This one is miles better than Saw 2. Obviously, this is like new Saw. It's a different thing from Saw 1, but this one is very true to the heart of what the bulk of the Saw series will be. Very classic Saw vibes. The twist ending is fun. They omitted the cop plot pretty much entirely, which gives us more time to focus on Amanda and John's dynamic as kind of father-daughter, serial killer, Jigsaw apprentice, which is much more compelling. And it ends with Jigsaw dying, which is a very conclusive end to the series. Feels like there's a lot of gravity to it, even though it's really random that Jeff's the one to do it. And it would have been a conclusive end to the series and had a lot of gravity to it if it had been the end of the series. See, this is the last film that Leigh Whannell is involved with, and he wanted it to end here. So Jigsaw dying at the end of Saw 3 is Leigh Whannell's desperate attempt to end the series, to kill his own creation. But it's too late, Leigh. The wheels are already turning. If it's Halloween, it must be Saw.
If it's Halloween, it must be Saw.
There will, of course, be 8 more movies. The central villain is dead in number 3. If Saw 2 unlocked the door to timeline murkiness, Saw 3 broke the door down with a battering ram. All Jigsaw scenes will now take place in flashback, or entire movies will be set back in the chronology between the events of Saw 1, 2, and 3. With the death of Jigsaw, we also see the death of cohesion and chronology. We are about to go completely stupid. And this is when, in my opinion, we start having the most fun. I would also like to bring attention to the fact that before Jigsaw dies, he pours some wax on a tape and swallows it. We will find out more about this later. We also see flashbacks of Jigsaw's wife, Jill Tuck, who will become an absolute series favorite. She doesn't even say anything in this one, she's just there as a flashback wife character, but she will get her time to shine, and you better buckle up for that. What's strange is that I think I've said even less about Saw 3 than Saw 2, which I clearly hate. But again, it's like there's not much to really dig into and analyze here. It's still not as good as Saw 1, but it's better than Saw 2. It's like a very passable popcorn horror movie. You could see this on Halloween. You might be confused about who Amanda is and like how did they start working together and what are all the dynamics here. Like, we're very much into the serialization, but if you can use context clues and look past some of the deeper lore, like, it's just a pretty standard Saw. Good Saw, okay Saw. But like, I can't really analyze Jeff the way that I could analyze Adam and Lawrence, you know what I mean? If Saw 2 was like a C or a D, this one's like a solid B, maybe closer to a C, but it's fine. I like it much better than Saw 2, but we're about to really hit the stride of the Saw series stupidity, so I'm not gonna belabor it here. Let's just dive into the stupid. Diving into a vat of pig liquid. So absurd.
3, we've covered 3.
Yeah, we're done.
We're on to 4. I don't know what the fuck happened in 4.
4 is...
Oh, it's the ice.
Oh, okay.
Saw 4 is an unmitigated disaster, and I love it. You can tell how much I love Saw 4 from my enthusiasm explaining it with Nat and Ansley, so I'm gonna be relying on that footage a lot.
Crazy.
You can remember which one 4 is because 4 rhymes with door. Door. The chaos of those clips really mimics the vibe of Saw 4. If the word to describe Saw 2 is forgettable, then the word to describe Saw 4 is confusing and also doors.
5? That's 4. 5 you is strong. 5 is strong.
The enemy of the villain of Saw 4 is doors.
You know
doors.
never to walk through a door.
Ever! I'm coming at you live from the single corner of my apartment with the most doors. I counted, I checked. This is the most doors I could get in a single frame.
Oh. Door City over here.
Yes.
Right out the gate, the tone setter for Saw 4, the first thing we see on screen after the Twisted Pictures logo is Jigsaw's naked body. Tobin Bell is letting it all hang out. It's so... They are performing an autopsy on our peepaw.
You opened the movie because literally this franchise has 10 fucking movies in it, going on 11, and in movie 3 they kill Jigsaw.
So
where the fuck are we going from here?
From here on out, everyone's in on it. Everything's a flashback.
Yes.
The timeline no longer
non-existent.
We open, truly the first shot of it, we sit down, let's watch Saw 4. Turn on the TV, Tobin Bell, in all his glory, I mean nude.
Dick and balls.
You need to commend him for his commitment. He carries the Saw movie on his back. The first movie when they were filming, every day he clocked in and he laid in that
He literally
floor.
laid on that fucking floor for every shot
day.
that they needed.
And then this one, he said, okay, my character's dead, how are we gonna start the movie? They said, take your pants off. And he said, okay.
Yes, sir.
They find the wax-covered tape. I guess wax is effective in keeping stomach acid from dissolving a cassette tape. That doesn't sound right to me, but I don't know enough about science to dispute it. The tape is basically like, even though Jigsaw's dead, stuff's still gonna be happening, there's still Jigsaw apprentices, the game has only just begun. Our main trap victim is Officer Daniel Rigg, aka the greatest character ever conceived. I am dressed as Rigg today in my white v-neck and leather jacket. I am so excited. Rigg is, of course, a cop, but there's a separate cop plot in this one. But don't worry, the cop plot is just as iconic and confusing as any other part of Saw 4. Rigg was partners with Carrie, aka Woman Cop, and I guess apparently when she was dying in her rigged saw trap in the last movie, he like rushed through a door to try to save her. Detective Rigg rushes through an unsecured door to save his partner, question mark?
Woman cop.
Carrie. Woman cop, Carrie.
What? Oh yeah, it was, yeah.
They're investigating them.
They're investigating it.
They're investigating her trap, yeah.
And he rushes through the door to try to save her. Something happened.
He rushes into things.
He rushes through a door. Is the upthrust of it.
You get eyes in there before you go in.
Get some eyes in here.
Carrie! Rig, don't do it! You guys said no! Carrie! Stop it! Do not go through that door!
Are you trying to get yourself killed? You know never to go through an unsecured door, ever.
So, he's the main victim for this trap. And the reason he's in a saw trap is because he's always trying to save everybody. He doesn't appreciate his own life enough. He's always trying to save everybody else by walking through unsecured doors. It's I cannot express enough how much doors are the enemy. He's always going through unsecured doors. Mm-hmm. You're always trying to save people by going through doors. So that's his, because he's always trying to save people by going through doors. Almost every trap in this movie is like door themed in some way. There's like so much door shit and it feels like a shit post. It is so silly. You know to never go through an unsecured door. Ever! Another very important cop in Rigg's department is Detective Mark Hoffman. Sometimes on paperwork it says D. Hoffman, as if detective is his first name, but his name is Mark Hoffman. Here he is, This is a picture of him. This is his face. I need you to look at it, analyze it, memorize it. You need to know this man. Hoffman and Rigg are investigating the crime scene of Carrie Woman Cop's saw trap with FBI agents Perez and Strom.
FBI's finest. These two are serving day in and day out. They are the bitches of the Saw franchise.
They're
from
just
here on
two
out.
queens maximizing their joint slay at
Right,
the end of the
exactly.
day. This is FBI agent Peter Strom. This is a picture of his face. I need you to look at it. I need you to analyze it. I need you to memorize it. You need to know this man. This is Strom. This is Hoffman. These are two different men. They are going to be key players in the next few Saw movies, and you need to be able to tell them apart. I know they look exactly the same. I don't know why they chose to cast two identical men. It's just part of the Saw series' long-term goal to gaslight you into thinking you're insane. I wouldn't normally comment on these people's bodies or faces at all, but it is seriously difficult to tell these two apart in context. They wear a lot of the same outfits, and it's important that you know which is which. So my trick is that Strom has a well-defined nose, and Hoffman has, like, plump, luscious lips in the least weird way possible. And I feel okay saying that because it's also the only trait that defines them from one another in every piece of Saw fan art I've ever encountered. This is canon, this is fanon, everybody knows that Strom is the nose, Hoffman is the lips. These are two separate men.
Strom, immediately upon... So, Strom and Perez both show up at Detective Carrie's crime scene when she's dead, when she's angel ripped, blah. And she shows up, and Hoffman's like, well, Jigsaw... So sorry, I shot a pee out of here. Hoffman is like, well, Jigsaw did it again. And then Strom's like, no. Actually, Amanda Young was too skinny to do this. So she had someone who was helping her.
Detective Carey weighed approximately 130 pounds. Amanda Young's arrest report has her at 107. She couldn't get her up there alone.
John Kramer was...
Bedridden cancer patient, he's brains, not brawn.
He was also an engineer. He could have rigged pulleys...
Or someone else could have helped him.
And when I tell you the heart-puppy dog eyes that Detective Mark Hoffman gives Peter Strom in this moment, he is smitten immediately. We thought Amanda and Lynn were toxic gay sex. Oh, you haven't seen Toxic Gays until you've seen Peter Strom and Mark Hoffman.
We're in Ainsley's bag now. We're
Yeah,
talking
now
about
we're
Hoffman
getting
and Strom.
It's like there's tension from a distance. Like with
Yeah.
Lynn and Amanda, they're all over each other. Like they're all over each other.
These two,
they want to kill and fuck each other from across the room for the next 3 movies.
Special agent, if you're here for any other reason than just to assist.
And we're here to find the person your department couldn't, Detective, the one helping Jigsaw and Amanda Young. Excuse me.
immediately they hate each other. And so Strom is a massive bitch. He has crazy anger issues. I love him. He is me. I would die for him.
He's a massive bitch and he has horrible anger issues.
I love him. He's me.
So there must be another Jigsaw apprentice. So to be clear, John, Amanda, and somebody else. I'd like to note that we have an unprecedented amount of both Jigsaw killers and cops. There is an unwieldy number of players right now, and the numbers, I'm sorry to say, will only continue to go up. Truly, everybody is in on it, or everyone is a cop. So the next day, Rigg wakes up in a saw trap. He finds out that Detective Matthews, remember Matthews, what brutality, what brutality?
What brutality? What brutality?
The main trap victim from Saw 2. He and Hoffman have also been kidnapped, and they are in their own trap. And basically, Rigg has 90 minutes to get to them.
Detective Hoffman is tied up in a chair.
Yes.
Detective
Gagged tits out.
Gagged
And
tits out.
Which, when the actor...
Yeah, the actor for Hoffman, Costas Mandalore, did request his straps and everything to be tightened, which starts a trend of him asking for way too much when filming Saw Trap.
He goes hard in the paint. For no reason. For as boring of a character as Hoffman is, he's like Detective Hoffman does not have one song where he needs to be doing all that.
Yeah, he doesn't.
If you're familiar with the Fast and the Furious franchise, he is very much the Dominic Toretto of Saw. He is a tank.
He cannot be
He
killed.
cannot be killed.
No.
He cannot be touched.
He and Detective Matthews, who is alive, by the way, he broke his foot. This happened in 3, I forgot to talk about it.
Everything.
He broke his foot to escape the chains in the bathroom. And then he beat the shit out of Amanda in the catacombs. But then she beat the shit out of him, too. So now, question mark, somehow the threat here is that Hoffman will be electrocuted.
Both. I'm intimately familiar with this. I love Saw 4.
Please do.
He's hanging, but he's not hanged. Yeah, when it's a person, it's hanged. He's not hanged yet because the ice is tall enough that it supports his little piggy wiggies a little bit. But it's melting, so therefore getting lower and lower.
Right.
So if they wait long enough, he would be hanged, but also there's just 2 giant blocks of ice that are also going to swing and crush his head if he hangs, so it doesn't really matter anyway.
Yeah, literally, what the fuck?
It doesn't matter. Nothing matters. The point is that as the ice also melts, the water is dripping down onto like a wire that's connected to Hoffman's chair that will electrocute Hoffman. So if a certain amount of time passes, is he a cop? Cop Matthews.
He is. Oh, I know. I think he's Detective Matthews.
Detective Matthews will be hanged and then immediately crushed, and then also Hoffman will be electrocuted. It's a 3-fer. But there's sort of a fun twist here, because Riggs' problem is that he tries to save everyone by going through doors all the time. So he has to learn not to save people by not going through doors. The thing is, like, I'm memeing it, but I'm not even exaggerating. Like, that is the entire, that is it. That is the plot of this film. So in the first part of Riggs' Trap, there's a lady being scalped, and Riggs' tape is like, don't save her. You shouldn't save her. And then Riggs saves her, and then she tries to kill him, which is cool and interesting. That's a twist we haven't seen yet. Then Riggs has to go to this, like, hotel or motel and get the manager to go to a room with him where Jigsaw has already set up a trap that Riggs just has to, like, get the guy into. And it's strange that Riggs just has free reign to, like, drive to this place and, like, talk to this guy and, like, leave the enclosed area. You'd think he would, like, drive down to the station and get some backup. But he is following Jigsaw's instructions, and that's something I prescribed already, so Riggs playing smarter, not harder. I don't know what that means. If he had gone to the station, it just would have been another door for him to walk through, and he simply cannot be caught doing that again. So the manager of the hotel is like a serial sexual assaulter. I don't know if I can say the word on YouTube. And so Riggs assists in putting him in the trap. I guess the message here is, like, some people aren't worth saving, and sometimes you just have to, like, put people in a saw trap. I don't know. The morality lessons are getting very tenuous here. If you couldn't tell already from Door. Then Riggs has one more little vignette with a couple in a classroom, and there's, like, rods through them. And I really am confused about what the backstory is with this classroom. I guess, like, Riggs did a little bit of a brutality there in the classroom, and then I guess, like, Hoffman, like, vouched for him to keep him on the force. So, like, that's why Riggs and Hoffman are, like, friends, I guess, is what this is trying to explain. Again, other than Door, the word for Saw 4 is confusing. I don't know the significance of anything that happens. I'm just telling you what I've seen. In the cop plot, meanwhile, because Riggs is not the cop plot, he's the main trap, even though he is a cop. And actually, because of this, in the following movies, a lot of times the main trap will actually be centered around cops, and now the cop plot is actually the FBI agent plot, because if you can't have cops be the enforcers of justice because they're tied up in Jigsaw stuff, you have to go one level above, and that's FBI agent. So in the FBI agent plot, Agent Strom spends the movie interrogating Jill Tuck, Jigsaw's wife, baddie, MILF, icon. I love this woman.
He left me long before I left him.
Okay, people break up, relationships end. It's called life. I mean, he started massacring people.
Gideon meant everything to him.
Gideon, I'm sorry, who?
Do you know anything about the Chinese zodiac?
Oh, Jill, no.
She reveals to Strom and the audience more pieces in the rich mosaic that is John Kramer's backstory. Not only was John diagnosed with cancer and then tried to kill himself but survived, but also Jill was pregnant with a son they were going to name Gideon, and
he also is getting revenge, I guess, because this guy, so his wife Jill Tuck, she kept her last name because she's a girl boss.
Yes, she is.
She works at like a clinic
for drug addicts
whom we hate in the Saw universe.
They suck and they should die.
And she's leaving late at night, and one of the addicts is like, let me get in there, and she's like, no, and he's like, I'm coming in anyway, and he opens the door
on her pregnant stomach, and she immediately miscarries.
And it's funny because it's not the way it works at all. It's ridiculous. No. I will not put a clip. You just have to watch it, but it's crazy. But the fact that that also happens in this one, like, doors are the villain.
Doors are the villain.
We hate doors.
And it's like the most stupid, like, okay, if you wanted her to miscarry and that to be another reason why John was doing all of this.
That can just happen.
Why the fuck does it have to be a door? Or like could someone
it feels like
it has to be the most indirect method of violence possible.
It feels like they did absolute mental gymnastics so that it could be a door.
Yes,
that made that happen.
Yes.
Because like Saw 4,
like they're working at a clinic and it's she's closing up and then he wants to come in and then she's standing in exactly the correct location.
And this is where we find out too the baby's name is going to be Gideon. Which is why Jigsaw named it Gideon Meatpacking Plant, or they named the baby after the Meatpacking Plant?
I don't know. And so John finds Cecil, and he is the first guinea pig. He's the first Jigsaw trap victim. The true origin of Jigsaw, for now. Until we inevitably learn even more information because we need a reason to have Tobin Bell be in the movie. I think it's maybe worth acknowledging that the actress playing Jill was engaged for a short time to Mark Berg, one of the producers of the Saw series. I am not saying this was a nepotism casting decision, but even if it was, it's only more iconic. She girl bossed her way to the top. Jill is a delight, and my heart sings with joy every time she is on screen. Her line deliveries are unmatched.
Do you know anything about the Chinese zodiac?
So Strom is hearing about baby Gideon, and by the way, the Billy doll was gonna be like a toy for Gideon, so we get the origin of the Billy puppet. But Strom is learning about Gideon, and he realizes that there's a meatpacking plant nearby called Gideon Meat Factory, and somehow that makes the connection that that's probably where the trap is happening with Rig right now. And somehow he is correct. So Rig also makes his way to Gideon Meat Factory, and he sees the time is running very low. He only has a matter of seconds to save Hoffman. And Matthews, remember him? The main trap victim of Saw 2? Me neither. Again, if you were just here to see a scary movie because it's Halloween and you're expected to know who these people are, so Rig is there, and the only thing that stands between him and saving his cop buddies is his old nemesis, a door. Meanwhile, Strom gets lost in the factory, but he sees a man in the distance and starts following him, and this man ends up being Twist Jeff from Saw 3.
Lynn?
The twist of Saw 4 is that it's happening at the same time as Saw 3. And the final room with Hoffman and Strom and Rig is just right next door to where all the shit's going down with Amanda and Lynn and Jigsaw. Does that count as a twist? Something happening at the same time as something else? What the fuck? So chronologically, Saw 4 takes place, I guess, concurrently and then just after the end of Saw 3. He runs into Strom and Strom sees that Jeff has a gun and they kind of duke it out, and then Strom kills Jeff.
You see your fucking hands? Where is my daughter? You mother...
What the fuck is going on? So back to Rig's trap. With 1 second left, he rushes through the door, but he didn't secure it first. And it turns out, twist, that the test all along was to not save them by going through a door.
Open the door!
So going through the door with time left on the clock is actually what kills Matthews. But it doesn't kill Hoffman. Why? Because twist! Hoffman was in on it all along!
Game over.
You know that guy we've barely heard from the whole movie? He's just kind of been tied up? Yeah, he's also a Jigsaw apprentice. What's that? You don't care at all? Yeah, soak it in.
And then we hear the rest of the tape that was in Jigsaw's tummy. And turns out that he was like, okay, Hoffman, go act in my name.
Yeah,
my
he was
least
like,
favorite child.
You are the captain now.
You are the captain now.
As we continue to stack up how many apprentices there are, the image of like how this is all working behind the scenes, like this little found family of Jigsaw and his apprentices.
They have like a groupie.
I'm obsessed with Saw 4. We have reached total stupidity. The door thing is so baffling to me, and I love it so much. This next little run of movies, like Saw 4 through 7, that's really the peak to me. If you're like me, then right now you're probably feeling uncertain about this new cast of characters. You miss the old Saw, Amanda, plots that make sense, characters with personalities that we care about. You don't care about Hoffman and Strahm even a little bit. I understand that impulse, really I do. It's exactly how I felt while watching these. But just trust me when I say to cherish every stupid moment right now, because we really didn't know what we had with Hoffman and Strahm until it was gone. We're gonna get a lot more of them, and there will be times when you're sick of them and yearning for the old days, but you have to learn to find their absolute nothingness kind of funny. Hoffman is not a character. He's an idea. Is he as interesting as Amanda? No. Is he as scary as John? No. Is there anything compelling at all about this man? No. But isn't that kind of impressive in its own way? Behold your new Jigsaw. He's going to be the main villain for the next few movies, and it is truly all downhill from here. And if you're confused by what even occurred in Saw 4, don't worry, because I'm not joking, the entire function and plot of Saw 5 is exploring and explaining what took place in Saw 4. Let's go there now. God bless, and remember to always secure your doors.
Your door now is no, that's 7.
No,
5 is glass
coffin.
Yeah.
Jellicle cats come out tonight. Jellicle cats come one, come all. I am in fact dressed as a character from Saw 5, but I'm not gonna tell you who it is yet. You just have to wait for it. If you recall from the intro of this video, I know it feels like lifetimes ago, Saw 5 was actually the first Saw movie I ever saw. I watched it with my high school speech and debate team. I was on the speech side of things, really. I think it was just speech people there. None of us had ever seen a Saw movie before. We all collectively thought Hoffman and Strahm were the same guy until the very end when they're finally in a single scene together. This is completely unrelated to anything, but I have the most vivid memory of the guy whose house it was, like asking all of us, like, does anyone need anything, like some snacks, a drink? And one of the other guys who was there, like as a joke, asked for a warm glass of milk, and the guy hosting brought him a warm glass of milk as a joke, and then the other guy drank all of it while watching Saw 5 as a joke. That moment is forever intertwined in my Saw 5 viewing experience, so I wanted you to know about it too. Shout out Interp Squad, I hope you're all well. At this point in the Saw review, Nat and Ansley and I were starting to get some Saw fatigue, and surprisingly, because of this, things actually start to get a lot more coherent on our end at this point, so whenever I can, I'm just gonna let us take it away. Some important things to note. Saw 5 is directed by David Hackle, who has been involved in Saws 2, 3, and 4, but this is his first and last time actually acting as director. Take from that what you may. Hoffman's traps have no escape, much like Amanda's, they're just execution devices. This is demonstrated to us with the opening trap of the movie, The Pendulum.
Mark Hoffman's first murder, he replicated to look like Jigsaw. That Jigsaw did not like that.
Because Hoffman doesn't actually trap anyone, he just kills people.
Yeah, Hoffman just kills people.
No mercy.
Yeah,
no mercy.
Hoffman's full, like, you know it's a Hoffman trap when it's just like,
it doesn't even work.
Kill yourself and die, yeah.
Yeah. I'd like us also to make note that this is the first neo-Nazi of the Saw series, and there will be more.
And then isn't Lincoln Park Man in this?
That's 7.
Okay.
Whoa. Okay.
That is 7.
Wrong Nazi.
Wrong Nazi.
But the pendulum is a Nazi.
Yeah.
Yes.
Lincoln Park guy is overtly a Nazi. That's the reason he's in the trap.
Yes.
Pendulum guy just happened to have Nazi symbols tattooed on him, but it's irrelevant to the reason he's in the trap.
Sure.
Oh yeah, because he also like killed someone.
He killed Hoffman's sister.
And that's Hoffman's tragedy.
But he just 5 is literally just explaining what happened in 3 and 4.
Yeah,
like it's just
it is, isn't it?
It's going on, yeah, and figuring out what happened because these movies are so flashback heavy that it's impossible to like keep track of what plotline you're watching and when. So they had to make a full movie.
It has to be, because they killed Jigsaw, so now everything has to be a flashback. Hoffman and Strahm are basically like the anti-Adam and Lawrence. They have a toxic love-hate relationship.
Is this you theorizing again? Because Jigsaw's dead.
I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about you and your whole crooked department.
My department's gone. They're all dead. There's no one left.
Besides you.
At the end of Saw 4, Hoffman locked Strahm in the Gideon meat factory, and here we see that he ended up putting Strahm in a trap called the Water Cube. Basically, Strahm's head is in a box that's slowly filling with water, and there's not supposed to be a way out of it, but Strahm outsmarts it by giving himself a tracheotomy with a pen. This is a very, very, very iconic Saw trap. It's up there with the reverse bear trap. Like, people know the Water Cube. Because of this, Strahm will talk with sort of a husky Batman voice for the rest of the movie.
How'd you walk out of that building?
How did you?
On a gurney with a fucking hole in my throat.
And this is probably a stretch, but to me it reads as kind of a parallel to the very first cop plot of the Saw series with Detective Tapp. I think I brushed over it in the Saw 1 recap because it doesn't matter that much, but basically midway through, Tapp has a close run-in with Jigsaw and Jigsaw slits his throat, but he survives. But for the rest of the movie, he has kind of this husky, scratchy voice, and that's why he sounds that way in the clip that I showed of him stalking Gordon's house.
Does Dr. Gordon know you're at home with his wife? What are you doing there?
So yeah, I don't know. I'm probably grasping at straws here, just like trying to find any kind of meaning to analyze. But that felt kinda neat to me, sue me. So the cop plot in this one is an extended cat and mouse game with Hoffman and Strahm. I forgot to mention it because there's just so much happening in 4. But FBI agent Perez, Strahm's partner, was killed in 4 by a Billy puppet exploding in her face and sending her to the hospital in critical condition. It was very dumb. But I guess her last words were apparently Detective Hoffman. So that tips off Strahm to maybe be a little sus of Hoffman. So Hoffman basically leaves a trail of breadcrumbs that Strahm follows, and Strahm always gets there like just after Hoffman left. Like if there was just a little bit less traffic that day, the whole movie would be resolved in like 20 minutes. But the point, I guess, is that Hoffman is trying to make it look like Strahm is Jigsaw somehow. The main trap in Saw 5 is the Fatal 5. Kind of fun, clever. We're playing with the number 5. Kind of fun, kind of cute.
There's the...
well, this is the Fatal 5.
Oh, the Fatal 5 is fun.
This is what it is. Fuck this shit.
Our cast consists of...
We have John Oliver.
Yes,
we have Fake Adam, right?
We have Fake Adam.
Malik.
Malik.
Mm-hmm.
Malik, you will never be Adam Faulkner.
You will never be Adam fucking...
You will never be Adam Faulkner stand height.
Yeah. We have Britt, who's a girl boss.
Britt is in the suit, correct?
Yes, Britt's in the suit.
Love. I
Yeah.
dressed up like Britt for our
Yes,
viewing.
Oh, you dressed up like Britt? I thought you were dressed up as side ponytail girl.
Oh no, I was side ponytail.
Yeah, side ponytail.
I was
girl.
side
What did
pony.
she do that? Didn't
She was
have
like
a moment?
a city planner or something.
I had
Yeah, I don't understand what the fuck. Why do they?
What's stupid about this one is that the threat in every room is that if you don't do whatever's in the room in a certain amount of time, a nail bomb will explode.
This is pipe bomb, nail bomb.
Yeah,
You don't
this is
like the nail bomb?
No, it's funny.
It's
funny.
And much like guns, as soon as there's a bomb involved, it kind of ceases to be a saw trap. It's just a bomb. This is a twist, but I'm gonna tell you because I don't care, much like Saw 2. The people in this trap are all connected because they were all involved with this house getting burned down, or like a property of some kind getting burned down, and maybe like people were inside of it, I think.
I don't understand what the fuck. Why do
They were all connected because some building burned down and killed some people, and they were all complicit
It was their fault.
in it. Except really just Malik, really, seeing as he was the person who set the build. It was like so that a rich person could build something over it that the others were working on. Or something.
No, like aren't there things that you would do before that? Like aren't there like things that people have done that you
Oh yeah,
find
for
before?
real estate? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's also hypocritical of Jigsaw as such a real estate tycoon.
Exactly.
To be punishing people for getting a bag off some buildings. Each room within this trap kills one more person. The first trap is this thing where they're all chained by the neck to this wall, and the thing's like pulling them back closer to this sharp object that will like and there's keys, but there's like not enough keys for them all to get them off, and so they're like, well, that's a shame, but I mean, someone had to die, there weren't enough keys. Or there's another one where a nail bomb is gonna go off and people have to crawl into these kind of tunnels in the wall to hide to avoid the nail bomb going off. And there were only a certain number of tunnels, so again, only a certain number of people could have survived.
With only 3 points of safety, which of you will be the odd man out?
Keep this reasoning in mind. I guess sort of the defining trait of Saw 5 is the bizarre scene transitions. I've never seen a movie with such emphasis on its transitions. You know, in editing in general, the goal is to be imperceptible. Not for a YouTube video, obviously. Then you want to be as obvious as possible. But like for a movie, usually the tell of if the editing in a movie is good is whether or not you notice the editing. You're not really supposed to notice it. It's supposed to seamlessly just take you from scene to scene through the story, you know? But Saw 5 takes extreme pride in its transitions. It's truly an editor's edit. Here are some highlights.
Hey, the princess came in.
Did you first meet Jigsaw?
The editor for Saw 5 is Kevin Gruter, who will go on to direct Saws 6 and 7 with his impeccable, show-stopping, and unique vision. Give this man his flowers for the most bewildering Saws. I would like to draw our attention back to that flashback scene in the apartment, because it's also one of my favorite scenes ever in a Saw movie. And it features the character I am dressed as. Wait, this is the elevator!
Yeah, this is
the elevator! This is the most bizarre shit I've ever seen in my life.
Fucking funny.
Hoffman goes... Well, first of all, he exits one door.
This is a flashback, but it's unaware that it's a flashback until like
He exits a door to go somewhere and then enters a door into an apartment building, making the audience assume that this is this, you know, continuous. Filmmaking 101.
Yeah.
But it's not the same place. No. It's a flashback. apartment building, and I forget why. It's probably not important.
It's his apartment, I think.
Okay, it's his apartment.
Maybe.
Oh, it's when he meets Jigsaw.
Yeah.
The elevator door opens, and there's a woman and her dog, and he points his gun at the woman and the dog. She goes, "Come on, Pee-wee!" And she's just like mad at him, but like not phased at all by almost being shot at.
Christ! Come on, Pee-wee! Come on!
No, she comes from like a hallway or something, and then the elevator door opens, and this old lady steps right out, right next to her, and she goes, "Do you mind?" and then leaves.
Shit!
Do you mind?
And there's this other girl who's like smoking a cigarette, just like serving, and she walks out too. It's like, what? And I thought maybe some of this would matter, but no, everyone just hates Hoffman.
Yeah,
everyone could just detect that Hoffman has the most rancid vibes of all time.
So funny because like his setup in Saw 4 is that they're all like, this is charming, sweet Detective Hoffman who everyone loves, and we can't tell why this FBI agent hates him so much.
What is the purpose? Like,
yeah.
why was that in there? It's so bizarre.
Life is just so hard.
Mondays, am I right? Here's where we start getting like, it's not just so stupid, it's funny, it's like baffling. It's like, what are we even doing?
Did anyone, how many fucking people were involved in making this movie that just didn't think? Like, they just like didn't like stop at any point to be like, hey, is this
Does this scene have a purpose? No?
Like, is this just
Leave it
fucking...
in.
Yes, I am dressed as my favorite Saw character, Pee-wee the dog.
Come on, Pee-wee!
I was absolutely delighted to discover that Pee-wee has his own page on the Saw Wiki. In honor of Pee-wee, I will now perform a dramatic reading of the Pee-wee the Dog Saw Wiki page. Pee-wee is a fictional pet in the Saw franchise appearing in Saw 5. Owner, unnamed woman. Status, alive. We can assume that he was not put in a saw trap after the events of Saw 5. Pee-wee was the dog of a woman who lived in the same apartment house as Mark Hoffman, a detective working for the Metropolitan Police Department. I don't know that I've mentioned it, but these movies take place in Metropolis. It's like vaguely New York, Jersey City. One day he being Hoffman, not Pee-wee the dog, one day he found an anonymous letter in his station which had been sent to him by John Kramer, better known as the Jigsaw Killer, who told him that he knew that Hoffman had imitated his modus operandi to kill Seth Baxter, the murderer of his sister Angelina Acomb, and made the murder appear to be another one of Jigsaw's crimes. Worried by this, Hoffman went home. Due to the letter, he was excessively nervous even when he entered his own apartment building. While waiting for the elevator, he suddenly heard the screams of a woman and other loud noises. Therefore, he pulled his weapon and carefully approached the door to the staircase from where the noises came. When he opened the door, Pee-wee the dog jumped and barked at him. His owner was shocked when she saw this, how Hoffman began to panic and aimed his gun at her and the dog. Eventually, she managed to calm Pee-wee down and left the building along with him. Who TF names their dog Pee-wee? The dog's real-life name was Katz, short for Katniss. My grandmother actually owned this dog and was a part of the family for many years before she passed away. She, Katz, was also in Shoot 'em Up. Thank you, Katz, for your service. Okay, so anyway, Jill is in this movie too.
What's Jill doing in this one? What's the status on
serving
Jill?
cunts.
Yeah. Surprise, surprise!
I really don't think
Big
she did anything
shocker
of note
here.
in this movie.
The last part of the Fatal Five trap is a trap called Pint of Blood.
The device before you is one of sacrifice, a sacrifice of blood. In order to open the door, the beaker must be filled to the marked level, a level that is of no coincidence. This amount can come from any one of you. That does not matter. What does matter is time.
And then there's
Pee in
also
it.
girl
Pee.
who dies immediately.
Pee in it.
Oh yeah, pee in it.
Take a pee. Take a dump.
Dare I say? Pee in it. Jork it? Jork it? The two remaining survivors realized that it would have been much easier to do this if they had all 5 people. They could all just give a little bit of blood and easily survive this one. And this makes them realize, twist, they all could have survived all of them. All of the keys were the exact same in the first trap. All the locks were the same. If they had just shared, they would have been fine.
Hey, Frankie, sharing, it's a rule now.
They could have shared tunnels. There was no rule that it had to be one person to a tunnel. They all could have survived every trap. Fuck obviously. There's another cop named Erickson who I didn't even mention because I don't care about him at all. But I guess I should at least like tell you his name because he's gonna be in 6 too. He shows up and I guess takes the final 2 survivors to safety. This movie really wants me to root for these two as kind of a doomed Romeo and Juliet dynamic, and I don't care because I'm too busy reading Pee-wee the Dog's Wikipedia page. Finally, Strahm makes it to the last stop of his wild goose chase, and there is a glass box full of broken glass.
And then the glass coffin.
Yeah, Strahm goes to confront Hoffman, and Hoffman has designed this trap called the glass coffin, and this is the functionality of it based on the speech that Hoffman gives Strahm. And I want it to be very clear to everyone, Hoffman usually uses a voice changer when he is acting as Jigsaw to sound like Tobin Bell. In this trap, and this is the only time he does this, it is Costas Mandalore's voice. Let that say what you need it to say.
Let that sink in.
But the important thing of it is that he's basically like, you could die in here, you could not. The important thing is, have you learned to trust me, Agent Strahm?
Hello, Agent Strahm. If you are hearing this, then you have once again found what you are looking for. Or so you think. Your dedication is to be commended. But I ask you, if you have learned anything on your journey of discovery.
Then
get in that coffin,
right? Before it says,
yeah, he says, get in that coffin, then Strahm pauses it like a fucking dumbass.
Why? Like, I just...
The glass box before you. Pain will be incurred, but you have a chance of survival.
Think!
Think!
Use your brain!
So Hoffman shows up for some reason, and Strahm beats the shit out of him. They're fun fact, Costas Mandalore and Scott Patterson chose to not use stunt doubles for that scene.
Epic.
They had
Here's the
padding
thing.
on, but...
The thing about Hofstrom is they did what needed to be done. Like, they were like, okay, let's fight. Let's punch each other actually in the face. Like...
Hoffman showing up there implies that the way that the glass coffin was supposed to go was that Strahm would get in the coffin, or Strahm would put Hoffman in the coffin, and they would both get in? Question mark? It's a small coffin. They'd have to be on top of each other.
They would have to kiss.
They'd have to kiss. Anyway, what ends up happening is Strahm pushes Hoffman in there and closes the lid, and then Hoffman visually
serves face for the gods.
Hoffman goes, serves it.
Have you learned enough to trust me?
On the thing, he's like, well, the walls are gonna crush you now, and
so too bad. You should have made out with me while you had a chance.
You should have made out with me while you had a chance, bitch. It's the worst breakup in history, and all the
ship's so good, the six had to kill them.
And the walls come in and crush Strahm to death, and this will be important in a second, holding on to like this mesh to try to get out of it, and so his hand is unharmed.
And it's like, John is dead at this point. John is a civil engineer, we know.
But yeah, what's Hoffman's skill set?
How did Hoffman make like a hydraulic press of walls?
Jigsaw taught him
to do that.
A lot of things Hoffman does were originally built by John and then refitted for his purposes.
And that's Saw 5. I remember really liking Saw 5, but it's a tough one to explain. It's kind of boring, it's kind of fun, it's extremely perplexing. It's like a B+ from me, I think. I'm gonna go ahead and move us right along because 6 is my absolute favorite. Come on, Pee-wee. Come on. 6. I go to the zoo.
Just kind of wander around the zoo.
I go to the zoo. Just kind of wander around the zoo.
Saw 6 does for the healthcare industry what Saw 4 did for doors. Our main trap follows William Easton, whose insurance company refused John treatment after his cancer diagnosis. This information is relayed to us in another of the most iconically puzzling scenes ever in a Saw film.
Healthcare decisions should be made by doctors and their patients, not by the government. Well, now I know they're not made by doctors and their patients or by the government. They're made by the fucking insurance companies. Piranha.
John.
It was something, the fucking insurance companies. Piranha. And it's the most, again, for baffling scenes, thank you. Piranha. Again with just, why
Why?
It's and the music builds. It goes. Now
He
I
did it
know
on purpose.
he's monologuing. He's full on monologuing
Like a good monologue,
in an
too.
office about, well, it's not the politician. Well, now I know it's not the politicians or the doctors and patients making the decisions. It's the fucking insurance companies. Piranha.
Why?
And John,
William Easton.
Healthcare provider.
Like,
sorry.
like literally goes like John, like puts his hand, like.
So this has happened before.
and then it cuts to Peepaw and he's like laughing at the CGI fish in the tank.
What does it mean? What does it mean?
What is it? Kevin?
What does it mean?
Kevin? I think it might have been Kevin at this point.
Kevin, what does it mean?
Made by the fucking insurance companies. Piranha.
John.
Piranha. This one's a piranha. This one's a goldfish. These are just miscellaneous fish. And this is a U-Haul box from The Move. Let's go craft for craft and see who comes out the victor. William's trap takes place, equally iconically, in an abandoned zoo.
It takes place in an abandoned zoo.
Why? At no point do they verbalize this fact. In fact, you just find out like halfway through the movie.
They're like
That's
in
the
cages.
twist.
The twist was that we bought a zoo.
I go to the zoo, just kinda wander around the zoo. I look at the monkeys, their eyes look like my eyes. It's so relaxing at the zoo.
What I love about Saw 6 is that it consistently chooses the most fun option possible. This trap idea was left behind in John's will for Jill to carry out in a series of comically large, mysteriously labeled envelopes. But Hoffman takes them from Jill and gets everybody together for this zoo trap. Do you care at this point? All of William's traps are quite literal trolley problems, forcing him to reckon with how his company ultimately kills people. It's insanely awesome, it's well thought out, it's thought-provoking, it's kind of devastating. Saw at its best is the trolley problem. Like, it's so interesting because they present these, like, moral dilemmas where it's like, who should live in this situation, whatever, at its best.
At its best.
They usually don't get there.
Yeah.
But this one's so good because they're all, like, trolley problems. Like, the shotgun carousel is just a prolonged trolley problem. It's like, oh my gosh, what do you do? Like, you have to press the button to kill someone, but you don't want to kill anyone, but if you don't, then you're, it's
killing.
This one is a return to form in that all of these traps are like, shoot, like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Like, what do you do?
What do you
know?
do? Yeah.
6, ride the carousel. But only 2 can get off. The decision of which to survive falls upon you. But remember, the mounted gun will continue to fire until all 6 rounds are spent. And if no decision is made on your part, all 6 will perish.
Like, I can't even explain to you how much, while we were watching this, like, no one was seated. Typically, when we'd be watching these, there was mostly just, like, riffing and making fun of what was going on screen, and there was a good deal of that during this, too. But Saw 6 really gripped us. It was like watching a sporting event. It was like, we were all, no one was seated. Like, we were having a great time.
Oh, it was like a football game.
It was the gif of that lady. Like, that was us. One of the smaller traps involves this old woman who William frees, and then she's just kind of left to, like, find her way out of the labyrinthine zoo.
Thank you.
This whole time, there's also this mother and son duo in, like, a cell with 2 buttons on the wall that don't appear to do anything. And you may recognize the son as Roderick Heffley, consistently choosing the most fun option. Meanwhile, the cop plot follows Erickson. Do you care? He uses this app thing to reveal the voice on the tapes as Hoffman, and then Hoffman immediately kills him. We get some weird Hoffman flashback retcon shit where, like, Amanda was actually responsible for Cecil going into Jill's clinic and not securing the door and killing Gideon, and Hoffman wrote her a letter that he knew she was responsible and used that to blackmail her, and that's the real reason Amanda killed Lynn. And then the cops find another one of Hoffman's victims, and they find out that the jigsaw piece cut in his side was made by the same blade that killed Seth Baxter from the pendulum trap, who was responsible for the murder of Hoffman's sister, Angelina Acomb. Does any of this matter to you? I mentioned before that Hoffman got the plans for the zoo trap from Jill and the envelopes, but what I didn't mention is that there was one extra envelope that Jill did not give Hoffman, which is from Jigsaw and says that Hoffman must be tested, and there is a reverse bear trap that is impossible to escape.
John left you 5 envelopes. The 6th one was for me. This is John's will.
So Jill, like the girl boss she is, puts Hoffman in this impossible to escape reverse bear trap, but unfortunately Hoffman is an unkillable tank, so he actually outsmarts it by putting like the maw of it in between the bars of like a door. Always with the doors. You can never trust the doors. William reaches the final bit of the zoo trap, and it is revealed, twist, that Roderick and his mom are not the kid and wife of William as we were led to infer, but actually the family of a man who died because William's company denied him treatment. Inspired! The most fun choice possible.
Basically, at the end of the movie, turns out these people, Roderick and this lady,
this was such a good twist too.
Yeah, that we thought were William's wife and child were actually the wife and child of a man that William denied treatment to.
So sick.
And so they get to choose between letting him live or die.
It's another trolley problem.
And the wife has this really sick line, and I'm gonna butcher it, where she's like, I'm going to kill you and let me tell you why.
The reason I am doing this isn't because I can't forgive you for what you did to me. The reason I'm doing this is because I couldn't forgive myself for what you might do to someone else. Please, no.
What happened is this.
Yeah. Oh yeah!
The ceiling dislodged and a grate pinned William to the bars of the enclosure and plugged him full of syringes that were full of acid, and his torso melted.
Weird. That one's not my
way to kill someone.
That
I can't.
No, Brad!
You killed my father, you motherfucker! We are loaded summer!
I feel like I barely talked about it, but that's Saw 6. It's my favorite. I love it. I have no notes. Like, it's wonderfully baffling. It's well put together, well executed. It's whimsical. It's fun. There's some convoluted Hoffman lore stuff I don't care about, but it really just adds to the camp of it all. Like, sure, yeah, we needed another motivation for Amanda to kill Lynn and for Gideon to have been crushed by the door by Cecil by Amanda. They gave up trying to make it make sense, and it just makes it funny. And everything else is very well thought out and well executed, no pun intended, for the first time in a really long time. It's my favorite. I love it. What more can I say but piranha?
Man, when's it gonna stop? When's it gonna end? Sometimes even the zoo isn't enough. So then,
Piranha.
I go to the aquarium. It's like a zoo for fishies.
I don't want to move on because I know that all the rest are dookie.
7's actually wonderful, actually.
Okay, let's go to 7.
Before we need to preface 7 with our viewing experience.
Oh yeah.
Going into 7. So Saw 7 is Saw 3D, Saw the final chapter.
Oh my.
Right.
Oh yeah.
We watched 5 and 6 together. We did a double feature.
We did.
And then afterwards we were like, okay, we can't watch 7. But let's watch the trailer for 7. Please
I'm putting a clip.
The last piece of the puzzle is you.
We were on the floor, wheezing and crying and pissing ourselves.
I
have shaky photos on my camera roll of us taking a picture of the screen.
Jill, why is she pantsless? Why is she in, you know,
Winnie the Pooh style? Jesus Christ!
Why are the arms
floating?
How is she floating? Because also that trailer is crazy because it's like, ooh, 3D. We're in the saw trap. Like, it was goofy already.
Oh yeah.
And then that image, like, what am I looking at?
And in the movie,
what am I looking at?
she is actually restrained. Like, she has things
like
around.
the scene was clearly unfinished.
They had not finished
They
it. Just put it in the trailer and put that in theaters.
There were countless opportunities to do a Jill-inspired outfit this video, but I knew I had to save it for this moment. As you'll see in the clips of me, Nat, and Ansley talking about it, I have a very love-hate relationship with Saw 7, Saw 3D, Saw the Final Chapter, and it is called all three of those things. I think what I like best about it having three separate titles is that it's not the final chapter of Saw, and unless you saw it in theaters when it came out, there's no way you can watch it in 3D. I'm sure there's some way, I'm sure there's some special collector's DVD, but the one that we had, it's just a movie. I'll admit that I'm a bit biased against Saw 7 because of my love for Saw 6. It's a tough act to follow, and the movies that come after Saw 7, Saw 3D, Saw the Final Chapter, really just Jigsaw, are so bad that they tainted this whole final era of Saw in my mind. So at times, I may be a little hard on Saw 7, and then turn around and treat it with the same joy and whimsy that I did Saw 6. But that's also just kind of how the movie is. Like, it pivots really quickly from slayage to floppage in like seconds flat. You'll hear me say a lot that this movie is sexist, and you know, it is. It's not so much that I'm offended by it as a woman. It's more just like an odd choice. Like, the ratio is very off. There's never been such a high woman to men ratio of suffering in a Saw movie before.
Wait, this one also is sexist though. We don't like the...
No, it is sexist.
The end of this one.
No, this one's a heavily sexist movie.
Yeah, no, this one like shit just is constantly happening to women.
Well,
and not that I can't like dish it out but can't take it, as I've been accused of doing on my side videos. It's fine, equal opportunity saw trap, but like I don't. It's weird. Like it feels charged.
Because there's a charged history there.
But there are a lot of weird choices in Saw 7, and a lot of that is because of the production process, which I will let Ansley explain because she knows more than me.
I would love to give some backstory on this one because I think it explains a lot about it.
Please.
Our good friend Kevin was on to direct Paranormal Activity like 4, I think. Then they were filming at the same time. And then Lionsgate was like, contractually you have to do Saw 7. So you have to do Saw 7 now.
As is their right.
And he got so mad. And so when he got the script, he was like, fuck you guys, I'm changing everything in the script like 3 days before filming. So the script makes no sense.
No, it does not.
But there are parts that I find absolutely hilarious and iconic. Probably the most iconic fact is that we get to see Dr. Lawrence Gordon again.
We'll see that Ansley has suited back up into Lawrence Gordon's cosplay. And why? Tell us why that is, Ansley. Would you like to hold this up?
I'd love to hold this up. Because Carrie Ellis settled his lawsuit out of court.
He decided to stop suing them.
And he needed money, I guess.
Return of the King.
So he returns to Saw 3D as Dr. Lawrence Gordon.
This movie opens right where Saw 1 left off. With Dr. Gordon crawling out of Saw bathroom and cauterizing his leg on a pipe. We then move to our opening trap, which is called the love triangle.
So this one starts with the love triangle. There's two guys in like weird like suspender, like they look like early Panic at the Disco like outfits. Did I not?
Hello, Brad. Hello, Ryan.
They're in like overalls.
They're in like overalls.
Yeah.
And then their collective girlfriend is no, this one is from beginning to end. This one is problematic.
Sexist.
The same woman has played each of you for a fool, manipulating your love for her and causing nothing but pain. Her fun and games pushed you both to break the law. She is toxic.
She has been cheating on one of them with the other one, and she's like, please, like, I love you. She's like, a cheating whore. And so they both are like, I think we're breaking up with you. you, and then they like do whatever that like makes her die. But it's in broad daylight. It's in like a store.
Yeah, they're like,
this is our first
display.
This is our first outside broad daylight saw trap, which is I don't know something.
There's something there.
Play a game. Call the police.
Look away, Timmy.
What are you doing?
In the original script, a lady was going to try to break the glass, and then a gun would shoot her.
It's not a saw trap when you bring a gun into it. Our main trap in Saw 7 is for Bobby, a guy who got famous off of scamming people into thinking that he beat a saw trap, or rather, survived a saw trap.
Your name, sir? John. With an H, without an H, doesn't matter. You know.
Bobby is the guy who faked being in a saw trap. That's this one.
Wait, no! I survive! S-U-R-V-I-V-E! Okay, no, this one is fun.
Oh my fucking god. They take him through every goddamn letter.
I know the first I is ignore your detractors because that's
What the fuck is wrong with this?
Start your life anew. Understand your problems.
It's the dentist system.
Redefine. Verify your self-worth. Oh no.
Verify. They're forcing it
through
so
commitment.
hard.
Verify your self-worth through commitment. Ignore your detractors. Value your loved ones. Embrace every day as if it is your last.
Oh, Saw.
They could have gotten 3 out of those with live and just made something up for the L.
He faked being in a jigsaw trap for attention.
Survive.
And so he wrote a book about it called Survive.
Shorter. Is there no word that's shorter?
It is about survive. That's so funny.
It's like, what else would you do in that situation?
Die.
You know what it
Give
is?
up.
Is it sounds like the History of Japan thing where it's like, they have this and this, which is something everyone needs to survive.
That means if you own the farm, you own a lot of food, which is something everybody needs to survive.
Part of our introduction to Bobby is that we see him going to a saw trap survivors support group.
Sydney, the day that you endured all the pain from your game, you changed. You made a conscious decision to no longer be a victim, but to be a survivor. You reached inside yourself and you pulled out something that very few people would even recognize.
To do an amazing double jackknife twist, which I did. Most of you people wouldn't even attempt that. I did it.
Featuring, once again, Dr. Lawrence Gordon.
You have to find a clip.
I will put it
talking like a snidely whiplash.
An insane person.
Like violently different character.
He's like Scottish in this one for some reason. I swear.
Bravo. To be able to sustain such a traumatic experience and yet find the positive in that grisly act. It's a remarkable feat indeed. Remarkable. If not a little perverse.
It just grew a sky.
Oh, must be a hard trap to be in. It's like, why are you a pirate? It's like crazy.
I'm sure I speak for everyone here when I say how grateful we are to be part of your promotional DVD.
So he shows up in this Jigsaw survivor support group scene that has the old lady from 6 and has Brittany Malik.
She got out! She got out! She found her way out of the zoo! Much like Jeff or William Easton, Bobby is put in some kind of enclosed warehouse type space where he has to go through a bunch of different rooms where people who helped him pull off this scam are in compromising situations and he has to save them. Each room in the trap is labeled with another letter of his survive acronym, only there's too many letters, so they skip like half of them and we're just like, oh, I guess he made it through the last 2 letters while we were looking at the cop plot. It's too many letters. They should have chosen a shorter acronym.
So all of the people who helped him fabricate being a Jigsaw survivor are like in this what is described on Wikipedia as an abandoned mental hospital, but nothing in the
Where are
script
we?
refers to it as that. Wikipedia, however, also refers to this weird little garage Hoffman hangs out in as his command center. So yeah, there's the silent circle, which is like this hook in this lady's stomach, and if she screams, she'll get stabbed in the throat.
What's the worst saw trap? Because there's some bad ones.
I really didn't like where she had to go rummaging through the needles.
My least favorite is the one in the room where the key to it is on a fishing line in her stomach on a hook. And he has to pull it out her trachea. And if she screams at all above a decibel, they like both die.
I've never heard of that. I never saw that one and I never want to.
That one's horrible.
Sorry, that was sexist. I don't know why or how yet, but I'm gonna figure it out.
Silencing women.
It's silencing women. Women
Thank
scream
you.
so much.
Wow. No, because then she does it. Why can't you just shut the fuck
Shut
up?
up.
Why would you just shut the fuck up?
That was improvised. That was improvised
Shut
by
the
the
fuck
actor.
up.
Yeah, it was improvised by Sean Patrick Flannery.
There's something
Fuck you,
here.
Sean Patrick Flannery.
There's something
You hate
here.
women.
I couldn't make this shit up if I tried. The ultimate end game of this trap, the final room, is to save his wife, who had nothing to do with the scam. She didn't know he was lying. Why is she being punished? Sexism. Jigsaw would never. Hoffman is fucked up for that. But really, the script is fucked up for that. At this point in the series, the cop plot is now also the Jill versus Hoffman plot. Jill sees Hoffman escape the bear trap and goes to this cop named Gibson, who I'm not even gonna bother to find a picture of because he does not matter. He's trying to stop the bobby trap, and he finds Hoffman's command center and learns some shit about the bobby trap, and he sends a SWAT team to the bobby trap, and Hoffman traps the SWAT team in a room and kills them with gas, and then kills Gibson and all of the cops with a gun. Boo! There's also a random trap that's not related to anything. Hoffman literally just does a side gig in this movie. It's really bizarre. I'm pretty sure this was added in late in the process to give the guy from Linkin Park an opportunity to cameo as a neo-Nazi. It's a very needlessly complicated trap involving a car. Seven is too, like, the traps in 7 are too much.
They're too much.
This is Linkin Park?
Yes.
Yes.
This one's
Nazi.
There's also these Nazis in this car garage.
This is like a Rube Goldberg machine.
It
of
is.
a Saw trap.
I remember watching Saw 7, I said out loud, I was like, this is no longer Saw. Like, you can tell watching Saw 7 that it doesn't feel like Saw anymore. Because it's Final Destination now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
no one's gonna make it, everyone's gonna die.
Yeah.
They're the most extra, gory, gross, painful stuff possible. There's no lesson to be learned. It's just, what's the craziest way we could kill someone? All of them die. Do we care? Did we learn anything? Also, the pain train, the Jill trap from the trailer that we lost our minds over, it's a dream sequence. It doesn't even actually occur. It was literally just an excuse to use cutting edge 3D technology. The Linkin Park trap and the pain train aren't useless scenes in the way that the elevator or piranha are useless. They're like insulting somehow. It's like, why are you wasting my time? There's a lot of like Jill and Hoffman as adversaries, which I love because it's like an unstoppable force meeting an immovable object. Anytime these two have to interact, it is a world-class showcase of unique acting abilities. There's a long sequence where Jill and Hoffman just kind of unconvincingly chase each other around a building. Really funny. And I mention it because it created the most iconic meme of our friend group watching the Saw movies.
Mark Shoe! Yeah, so Mark Hoffman gets out of that bear trap, and then, like, he plays hide and seek, basically, with Jill
for
a
like the
while.
whole movie. And we were watching it, and we love Jill, we stand Jill, everything she does is iconic. And so we already always do this voice for her when she's on screen, and we're like, Mark, shoot, Mark, I'm not kidding.
Stop chasing
Mark, get up, Mark! So we are also in together, and so we did a Saw theme because of course we did. And we were like, you know, it would be great promotion. Let's get a cameo from Jill herself. And so we did, and so I'll put the cameo here.
If you don't, you're going to find yourself in a compromising situation. Mark Shu, that includes you. Game over.
I guess she thought Mark Shu was a person. I asked her to work in the phrase Mark Shu because it was such a meme, but she was right. We were wrong. That was better. That was better. She was right. It does include you. It does include you.
Mark Shu, that includes you.
Finally, Bobby makes it to the end of his trap, and I guess, twist, he has to recreate the trap that he made up and got famous for supposedly surviving.
I can't reach it.
Why are you
I'm touching it, but that's not enough to pull it. I can rest my hand, but
What's wrong with your hand?
Which is cool, but it's not a twist. He fails it, so his wife gets burned alive. Such justice, very consequences. I'm so pissed off that I'm doing Doge memes. Are you happy, Saw 7? Hoffman finally, like, catches up to Jill, I guess. And he puts her in the reverse bear trap. And for the first time in the series, we get to see the reverse bear trap actually work. Absolutely tragic that it had to be Jill, but we have to take solace in the fact that she went in the most iconic way possible. And isn't that just like Jill, to slay even in her moment of being slayed?
Hoffman kills Jill.
Yeah.
The bear trap.
Sexism.
Sexism.
Upon
Sexism.
sexism. Or, no, that's the communist song. Play taps. Yeah. Jill, you're too good for this world. Rest in peace, Angel. Hoffman destroys his command center and tries to flee town. And in what I guess is the actual twist of the movie, he's stopped by 3 people in pig masks. And one of them takes his mask off, and it is Dr. Lawrence Gordon. What?
So, Gordon, showing love in the only way he knows how, chains Hoffman in the
Saw bathroom.
In the Saw bathroom. Find out anything you can about the Saw 3D, or the original version of the script, because it is insane.
Wait, no, I need you to talk about the cult, too.
Yes!
Yeah.
Okay, so Lawrence Gordon, Jigsaw apprentice, obvious from the get-go because of Carrie Ellis's performance. The original ending was that the Saw survivors support group that Lawrence is a part of, he decided to turn into a cult to Jigsaw. And the ending of the movie was supposed to be...
So we learn, after surviving Saw bathroom, Gordon also became a Jigsaw apprentice. You may remember me mentioning the Venus flytrap in the Saw 2 summary, and I said I might forget about it. I didn't. I remembered. The reason the Venus flytrap is important is that the key to get out was surgically sewn under the guy's eye. And the reason someone was able to do that is because Dr. Lawrence Gordon is a surgeon, and apparently that was the first trap that he ever worked on. What great foresight by the Saw series. They knew that Gordon was gonna be in on it all along. Actually, no. They didn't know that. Once again, I'm gonna let Ansley explain, because she knows more than me.
The reason for that is this. Okay, Lawrence Gordon is revealed to be a Jigsaw apprentice later on.
Let's just say.
Let's just say that.
What?
In 7. Yeah. In the video for this trap, Jigsaw shows the guy a video of someone sewing the key under his eye to prove to him that he's not lying. In the video of it, which at this point the surgeon was actually being played by the director, Darren, Darren chose to limp to seem evil. I guess.
Let's not question that too much.
In the video. And then fans were like, Lawrence Gordon? Lawrence Gordon?
Is that you?
Which is also what I've been doing for every Saw entry that I've been an awake person for that has come out, which is, in all fairness, just Saw 10.
However.
And also Saw 11. But he will be in Saw 11.
Adam will be in Saw 11.
Adam will be found alive in Saw 11. Saw 11, please God, Saw 11. Do not bring Hoffman back to life in the present timeline. He will kill Gordon and I can't handle that.
Hoffman has plot armor. They don't want Hoffman to be killable.
Yeah.
They want him. They want to make him as iconic as Tobin Bell was as Jigsaw, which is not going to happen.
No one cares.
But the only
about
way
it.
they can do that is to have him be actually invincible.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I mean, you put the two of them in a lip sync battle. Gordon is wiping the floor with Hoffman.
Oh,
Exactly.
absolutely.
And that's like when we get rid of Hoffman, I miss him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I
But
hate
don't.
him.
But I don't like when he's there.
I hate him, but I miss him when he's gone. We
Yes.
have a toxic. It's like him and Strong.
It's like him and Strong.
Hoffman invites a toxic relationship with him, where you hate him when he's around.
That's why the people
But
don't like
damn
that
it,
in
you
the
miss him
elevator.
when he's gone.
No, it's like we're shitting on that scene, but I would have done the same exact
That's just
thing.
the
as that
effect it
girl.
has on people. So that, my friends, is Saw 7, Saw 3D, Saw the final chapter. If Saw 4 is confusing, Saw 7 is messy. Messy, messy, mess. And sometimes it's a fun, slayful, hot mess, like Midnight's. But sometimes it's a troubling mess, like Portals. I don't know why I'm explaining this in pop terms. Is anyone still watching? All 5 of you, smash that MF like button. Please put that subscribe button in the reverse bear trap for me. Moving on, the time has come to discuss the worst Saw.
Jigsaw.
Well, we never forget what they took from you.
Never forget
The
what they
Hoffs
took
throw.
from you.
Jigsaw is so. Where are we?
We're at
down
Jig
the
Barn.
You can't even see it because it
Can't even
fucking
see it, 'cause
sucks
we
so
don't-
bad.
yeah, we don't
Jig
respect
Barn. Jigsaw is ass. I couldn't be bothered to find a character from Jigsaw that I care about, so I'm just like general pig farmer fantasy vibes. But I like it. I think it's cuter than anything from Jigsaw would have been. This is my Red River Hog. His name is Joel, named after the Big Joel subscriber special, Welcome to the Hog Zone.
Welcome to the Hog Zone. Gonna find some hog friends. Gonna see some hog dudes. Gonna kiss them on the lips.
You may be able to tell already, I want to talk about this travesty as little as possible. You'll see how mad this thing makes me, Nat Nansley. Jigsaw. I hate this.
It's a bad
And,
movie.
and it's not even funny. Like the other ones are funny and they're bad. And
It's
funny.
boring
This
and
is
it
not
makes
a
me
s-
mad.
It's not even a Final Destination movie. Like
It's a Fast
just,
and Furious movie.
Like maybe because I enjoyed watching Fast and
He's
Furious.
not here anymore.
Respect. I enjoyed watching Fast and Furious. I did not enjoy watching Jigsaw, and maybe that's because I wasn't expecting it.
I was expecting it, and I also didn't enjoy Jigsaw. If it helps.
It's infuriatingly dumb. We open with a guy getting shot on the top of a building.
Edgar, what the fuck are you doing? You put down that remote. I
can't.
What's that for?
Game's just getting started.
What game?
His game. His rules. I gotta choose who dies. Them or me.
Edgar, I don't want to shoot you, but I will.
Sick. The main trap of Jigsaw is literally the Fatal Five again. One of the bucket guys falls asleep. Dumbass. The survivors find themselves in a barn. This barn belongs to Jill's family, apparently. The Tuck family pig farm. That is funny. I will give them that. The stupidity of this movie can really be summed up in the grain silo trap. That is really the microcosm of it all. Two people are trapped in a grain silo that's being filled with grain. That's cool. Like,
Yeah,
that's a real scientific thing that can happen. You can drown in a grain silo because it's like quicksand. That's interesting. That's cool. That would be interesting. It stops filling up, like, here. And then someone starts, like, throwing knives and gears and shit. No, man!
out the season.
You had an idea, and then you just fumbled it past what I could even imagine, and that's what the whole movie feels like.
Yeah,
to me.
the exact, like, it's the manifestation of the whole, like less is more. Like,
yes!
Like, just stop,
Less
guys.
is more. The cop plot follows these guys. I really wanted to just call them the cops and not have to know their names, but unfortunately, you do kind of need their names to understand what's happening. So I looked it up. Meet Hunt and Halloran. They are investigating the guy that got shot on the roof, and they start finding bodies from the barn trap displayed around the city in public. Yes, there's a lady going for a run, and there's a guy hanging from a bridge with a bucket head. And so as an audience, you say, okay, the guy who didn't make it in the last one, I guess, is hanging from the bridge now.
Being shown because Jigsaw famously shows off his victims to the public.
The cops suspect these two doctors because it's a Saw movie and everyone's either a cop or a doctor. The lady doctor, Eleanor, is like a Jigsaw fangirl, which is a really odd choice. The guy doctor is named Logan. He doesn't really have a thing. Wait, we need to talk about the creep. We need to talk about the nurse.
Right. So there's this cop. He's one of the cops that shot that guy on the roof. And he's like a major creepazoid.
What's your story, sweetheart?
What are you asking, Detective?
One of those kinky types? Like a little pain.
Why? You want to get punished?
Where were you the night Malcolm Neal got murdered?
Home. Alone.
Cool.
There's this other female doctor that Logan works with.
Who's also a freak.
Who's also a freak. Turns out she collects Jigsaw memorabilia because she thinks it's cool and maybe gets off about it.
Eleanor? What is this?
Hey, a girl's gotta have a hobby.
It feels like Blair Witch 2, where it's like no longer a documentary, and they have that girl with like the book.
Yes.
Like that's the nurse girl. The nurse girl is the girl from Blair Witch 2 who's like obsessed with the Blair Witch.
It's like
so right.
A weird meta, like, you're so right. It's like a movie about a world where the Saw movies exist or something.
Yeah.
It's like a step away.
And also American Sniper.
Yeah. Eleanor has like a garage full of jigsaw traps. Whether these are real or replicas, if it was explained, I don't remember. Either way, alarming thing to have. This doesn't count. One cardboard reverse bear trap is not as threatening as having all the saw traps in a special garage under my home. We are not the same. Me and Eleanor are not the same. Do not put that on me. Detective Hunt finds a barn body in there and he arrests the two doctors. But then Logan is like, no, we saw on the body of the guy that got shot on the roof, the bullet that killed him was from Halloran's gun. And so Hunt is like, oh, okay, and lets them go. I feel like the people who wrote this were on like a high dose of Benadryl or something. There's something very delirious about it. It's like, why is this what's occurring and why? This is well illustrated in the next thing I'm gonna say, which is that they dig up John's grave for some reason, but instead of John's body, it's the corpse of the guy who got shot on the roof. So, at this point, you may be asking, I'm taking the hog off my head, this is serious. At this point, you may be asking, are they gonna do this? Are they going to make Jigsaw somehow alive? The answer is, you're gonna have to wait and see. More barn shenanigans take place. A guy gets blended in a giant blender, and I'm not even exaggerating, that's just what happens.
It is like a human-sized blender.
Yeah. The guy who sold a bad motorcycle to Jigsaw's nephew is put in a blender.
That's the other thing is how does Jigsaw decide like what is like worthy?
Yeah.
Depression gets locked in a bathroom and just left to rot. Yeah. But meanwhile, motorcycle salesman gets blended. This woman in the barn trap is unbelievably awful, by the way.
I don't even like talking about this.
I don't like
thinking about it. It just...
Eleanor somehow figures out the location of the barn, and she and Logan go to investigate, I guess? Halloran follows Eleanor and Logan to the pig farm. Meanwhile, Hunt finds like a Ziploc baggie of Jigsaw cutout skin pieces in Hunt's freezer. In the final part of the barn trap, Horrible Lady and other guy are chained up in a room, and Jigsaw, John Kramer himself, enters and tells them they must confess their sins.
Did you know that pigs are highly compassionate animals?
Do you know anything about the Chinese zodiac?
One of those kinky types?
Ever gone mountain biking? What do you want to be when you grow up? What's the right tip? Have you called a plumber to your home lately? How superstitious are you?
So John says they have to confess their sins, and they both explain why they're in the saw trap. And then he gives them a shotgun and says that it's their key out of there. Awful Lady tries to shoot the other guy, but it's rigged so that it shoots her instead. And then the other guy goes over and looks at it, and the key to get out was literally encased in the bullet shell.
Backwards.
He said we've got it backwards!
No!
Meanwhile, in the barn, Halloran is chasing Eleanor and Logan around. Eleanor, gets away somehow, and then Halloran gets taken out, and he and Logan wake up in laser collars?
No, stop! Stop it!
That's stupid on its face, but it's especially stupid because, twist, the barn trap happened years and years and years ago. The Hunt, Halloran, Eleanor, Logan plot is happening years after the barn plot. The barn plot happened prior to Saw 1. The barn trap takes place before 2004, and they have giant blenders.
Billy has glowing eyes.
Yeah, Billy has glowing eyes for
But
no
it
reason.
takes place
Despite this taking
before-
place before the bathroom. Yeah, so it's like, when did he turn off his little LEDs?
And so, but the bodies, you say? We were seeing their bodies around the city in the modern day. Wrong.
That is legit the same Tupperware I give my 5-year-old daughter for school every day.
What are you saying? Say it again. Slow, very slow. First, say the first syllable.
Tub.
Wrong.
The new Jigsaw was simply recreating the corpses of each person killed in the barn trap years ago, before Saw 1, and just hanging them around the city. But why? Why would someone do that? Well, in this laser collar trap, Halloran and Logan have to confess their sins or be lasered. The laser thing makes me so irrationally angry. I know technically these scenes are happening in present day, so technically sure they could have lasers, but it's still stupid that they were able to make a giant blender in, I don't know, 2001, 2003, whenever this takes place. But even if it's in the modern day, the lasers are still fucking stupid. Laser is worse than a gun. A gun, a nail bomb, gas, those are all better saw traps than a laser.
How are you still alive?
The game will select one of you to begin in 60 seconds. Unless, of course, someone chooses to go first.
As neither of us touch a button.
There's this thing in the middle of the room that there's buttons.
Oh! Let's neither of us touch a button.
Let's neither of us.
As neither of us touch a button.
Guys, I have an idea. Let us neither of us touch a button.
As neither of us touch a button.
It's like they wrote the script into Google Translate and then translated it 5 times.
As neither of us touch a button.
Let's neither of us touch a button. What?
As neither of us touch a button.
Yeah. There come the ball ice cream.
There come the ball ice cream.
There come the ball ice cream.
Oh, there come the ball ice cream. Yep, there he come, down the slide.
As neither of us touch a button.
Point being, Logan confesses that he was John Kramer's radiologist, but he mixed up the labels on 2 x-rays. And so Jigsaw didn't get treated as soon as he should have been because it looked like his brain was fine. And then he gets lasered anyway.
Why was it?
Cool. Halloran admits that sometimes he just kind of lets criminals go free for funsies. Then, mere moments later, twist, Logan is revealed to still be alive.
Fucking kidding me. What?
And we learn one of the criminals Halloran let go was the guy on the roof that he shot at the beginning. And Logan's mad about that because the guy on the roof that Halloran shot at the beginning of the movie is the guy who killed Logan's wife. So twist, Logan is the new Jigsaw apprentice.
You're working with him.
I am him.
Bitch, I'm him. Let's neither of us touch a button.
He was the buckethead that fell asleep in the first part of the barn trap years and years and years ago because he mixed up the x-ray labels. But he fell asleep because John gave him too much sedative. So apparently John was like, you and me, we both make mistakes. We're not so different. Would you like to be my first apprentice?
I guess we're even. You want to work for me now?
I guess we all have bad days sometimes.
It was a Monday.
Mondays, am I right? Meaning that Logan has been involved in putting together every saw trap in the series. The bathroom, nerve gas house, Hoffman's fucking... what traps did he do? The doors! Logan was in on it all from the beginning. So fucking stupid. There are too many apprentices. To put it in perspective, let's just say the pig vat. The pig vat was constructed by John, Amanda, Hoffman, Dr. Lawrence Gordon, and Logan. It took 5 people to build the Magnum eye hole. It's so stupid.
Yeah.
If Jigsaw knew about Logan and gotcha'd Logan first, to me, why are we trapping Lawrence?
Yeah,
Don't shoot the messenger. It's not his fault.
He even gotcha'd Logan before he gotcha'd Amanda. So what do we have Gordon, Amanda, and Hoffman for? If you had Logan this whole time.
Hoffman is their sad, like, boring replacement for Jigsaw. Logan is their sad, boring replacement from Hoffman. And what do you get when you get a copy of a copy? It's like, you know that thing where it's like Waluigi is the true nowhere man? Because Wario is like the evil version of Mario, but then Luigi is just like the sidekick version of Mario. So Waluigi is like the evil version. If you don't know who Mario is, then Waluigi is not. What is that?
Yeah.
Logan is Waluigi.
Well, Logan is Waluigi.
The true nowhere man. We've fully lost the plot. Everyone hates Logan. Everyone hates Jigsaw. Most Saw fans really try hard to pretend this movie does not exist, and I do not blame them. Bye, Jigsaw. There's the door.
There's the door, bitch!
Hi, friend. We covered Jigsaw.
Thank
I
God.
hate Jigsaw.
Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here.
I don't like
Jigsaw.
Spiral, but
I didn't like Spiral, but I liked it better
it's
than
different.
Jigsaw.
Yeah, it's different.
Samuel L. Jackson.
Where are we? Metropolis.
We are in Metropolis.
Oink oink, bitch. No, I'm not doing this for the whole thing. I need you to excuse the fact that this is the closest I could get to a police officer hat. And yes, I film backwards. My perception of myself is weird when I flip it, but it says, at my age, I've seen it all, heard it all, done it all. I just can't remember it all. Shout out boyfriend for letting me borrow. Very accurate to my thoughts on Spiral. I barely remember this movie. It also really doesn't fit on with my pigtails. It's really just sort of an opening gag for this segment. So, the Saw series at this point is in a very precarious position. Jigsaw was horrible, and it's clear that we can't do another prequel, at least not like that. But Saw 7, Saw 3D, Saw the Final Chapter was such a good closer to the timeline. Of course, there's the potential to reboot things with Dr. Gordon as the main Jigsaw, but that's a pretty big swing, and I fear that the Saw series lost some of its moxie with Jigsaw. Dr. Gordon is a fan favorite, and there's a pressure to really get it right with him. What we need now is something with no fan expectations that's impossible to fuck up. But it can't be so safe that we lose them. We have to get really weird and really random. What we really need is a feminine amina.
Hit it like rum pom pom. Get it hot like Papa John.
And by feminine phenomenon, I mean a serious tone switch up. Now I know that you and I both know exactly how they achieve this. There's really only one answer for which direction to take the Saw series. Look at my eyes. Do you know what it is? I know you do. Let's say it together on the count of 3, okay? 1, 2, 3. A buddy cop spin-off with Chris Rock and the guy from The Social Network, where Chris Rock's dad is Samuel L. Jackson, who got discharged from the force for police brutality. Yes! That's what I was gonna say! So, Spiral from the Book of Saw, which I don't know what the fuck the Book of Saw is. There has not been a book thus far. Spiral from the Book of Saw is technically a spin-off because it's not about Jigsaw or any of the apprentices. It's about a copycat killer. Just another killer that vibed with Jigsaw style and decided to do it himself. They're trying to start fresh. I think that's a smart move following Jigsaw. We cannot risk another Logan. Let's just clean the slate and start back at square one. Fun fact, Lee Winnell and James Wan came back as executive producers on Spiral, so it's kind of like a weird test run for a new sort of Saw series. In true nature of this hat, right in this, I really could barely remember anything about Spiral. If I remember correctly, we double featured Jigsaw and Spiral in one night. I either fell asleep or just completely mentally checked out because reading the plot summary for this online, I was like, did that happen? I don't know. I'm not gonna spend too long here. I'm just gonna hit you with the bare basics. This movie is sort of the cop plot final boss. What Saw 6 did for the healthcare system, Spiral from the Book of Saw does for police. Cop plot. The Reckoning. Spiral, which is the name of the Jigsaw copycat, has a different puppet, his own puppet, and it is a pig in a cop uniform because he hates cops. It's a little bit iconic. It's kind of iconic. And that puppet is who I am dressed as today. Fun fact, if you look it up, this puppet's name is Mr. Snuggles. I don't think they ever say that. It must just be what they called it in production, which is incredible, hilarious, iconic, show-stopping. Spiral's voice is viscerally terrifying. It makes me want to rip my skin off.
You have taken the witness stand many times and railroaded innocent people with your lies, putting them away in jail. Today, it is you who will be railroaded.
The voice. The voice.
Oh, I hate the voice
so much, but I love.
It's so cool and
I love
so
the way that I
scary.
hate the voice.
Yeah, I love
The
the
voice
voice.
is great.
I'm thinking about it now.
It's scary.
Watch out, there's a cactus.
Samuel L. Jackson is a cop who was discharged from the force for police brutality.
You pull a gun on your old man? You out of your f***ing mind? I could have killed you.
What are you talking about? I got the gun.
I could have killed you.
His son, Chris Rock, and his partner, Social Network, are investigating a string of Jigsaw copycat murders, the victims of which are all crooked cops. Social Network disappears, and then his body is found, skinned, yuck. The traps here are far too much. A guy has to rip his tongue out or get hit by a train. Another lady gets waterboarded with hot wax. There's one with fingers I'm not even gonna get into describing. Very cringeworthy. I know every saw trap is kind of cringe, but these ones are particularly like eyes and nails-y, if you've seen my Always Sunny video where I explain what that means. It's not just gore, it's far too sensitive and specific situations. They're too focused on one specific body part. Like in the past, it's been like, you're gonna get frozen, you're gonna get drowned in a pig vat, you're gonna get shot, I guess.
Yeah.
This one's like, you have to slowly rip your tongue out or you're gonna be hit by a train. Or it's like, your eyeballs are gonna be sucked out or all your fingers are gonna get broken. It's like, stop being detailed. I can't handle the details. Not a fan, personally. Samuel L. Jackson gets kidnapped and hung up like a puppet somehow, and Chris Rock goes to save him, and twist! Social Network faked his death because he is Spiral, because he has some backstory baggage with police brutality.
The last 15 minutes of this movie ruled.
Yes, other than that,
They
fuck
did.
it.
Other than that,
And I guessed
not
the
fun.
twist. I was
You
so
did.
fucking
You did.
proud of myself.
You did.
I guessed the twist.
Let the
and it
record
was a
show.
good twist. It was good.
I did like the ending.
The ending went
it's,
hard
It's a
as hell.
thing that when... So it was Chris Rock's partner at the time that unlawfully shot Shank's father for being a witness to something.
Right.
And Chris Rock saw that Shank is a child, which that the timeline is confusing there, but whatever. Saw Shank in a room and went like, shh. And Shank orchestrated it so that Samuel L. Jackson was being like puppeteered to look like he was holding a gun when the cops broke in to the warehouse, and so the cops all shot down Samuel L. Jackson, and as Chris Rock was like freaking out while his father was getting murdered, Shank is escaping on an elevator and goes, shh.
That
was
epic.
Samuel L. Jackson dies, Chris Rock screams, Social Network gets away, leaving us open for a sequel. And that's all I'm gonna say. I don't know how I feel about this one. It's not really a Saw movie. It kind of is, I guess, in the way that Saw 2 is a sequel to Saw 1. It's a different thing, you know? C-, it's fine. But since I can skate by on the technicality that it's not really a Saw movie in the Saw canon, I'm leaving it here. I'm moving on. Spiral stands. You can take it up with my pig cop lawyer.
Well, you were unsuccessful in this courtroom. What do you think you could have done to make this case go better?
Win! But you know what they say, fake it until you make it.
That's right.
And I'm really
Jesus Christ!
What's happening?
Stress is just really getting to me.
Your ear falling
I'm sorry, you're gonna have to speak up. I can only hear you half as well.
Saw 10?
Saw 10. Mexico. Parentheses. Empathy. We made it, you guys. Look around. Look to your left. Look to your right. We did this. We did this together. We have made it to the final Saw movie as of watching this video. Congratulations, Saw class of 2024. What a journey it has been. Saw X is really the perfect wrap-up because it has the distinct feature that Jigsaw is just fully the protagonist. Saw 10 is great, and I'll tell you why. They fully leaned into having Jigsaw be the protagonist. And they said, we're gonna make you root for Jigsaw. And I said, okay. Our beloved Peepaw, at long last, gets to be the center of attention. Chronologically, this one takes place between Saw 1 and 2. So John has already done Saw Bathroom at this point. He's in the planning stages of Nerve Gas House. At this point, Logan, Amanda, Hoffman, and Gordon are all already apprentices. That doesn't really matter to the plot. I just had to mention it because it feels insane. John goes to a support group for people diagnosed with cancer, and he meets this guy who says he had this experimental treatment in Mexico and his cancer totally went away, and he shows John his surgery scar to prove it. John goes to Mexico where he meets the doctor, his daughter, Cecilia, and some other side characters involved with the treatment, including Valentina and Gabriella, and they're in this really nice house, and there's a caretaker for the house, and the caretaker has a son named Carlos, and because John is an ex-civil engineer, he helps Carlos fix his bike.
How do you say pull? Pull.
Jala.
Hala.
Gracias.
Jigsaw is the protagonist of this movie, and I'm obsessed with it. We get to see a lot of Jigsaw just kind of being Peepaw. Saw X is the longest Saw movie, and it takes its time fully establishing complete empathy for John Kramer Jigsaw. John Kramer Jigsawheimer Schmidt. His name is my name too. He just generally enjoys his time and discovers empathy in Mexico for the first, third of this movie. So then he gets his surgery and twist, it's a scam.
Peepaw gets scammed.
Peepaw gets scammed out of his hard-earned cash.
Yep.
And he realizes it's a scam, and he takes off the surgery wrap, and they didn't even shave his head. They didn't even try.
They faked it too because they there's a shot of them shaving his
head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're clearly faking it.
So all these people need to die.
How dare you, Mr. Spears? You had me fooled. And you too, Mrs. Spears. Death to all of them.
But he can't do it alone. Enter stage left, Amanda Young with a fresh new haircut.
Who are you?
This is my associate, Amanda.
This is so much fun. I know the timeline shit is ridiculous, but I love that we can bring back the classic characters. I seriously would not mind at all if every Saw movie from now on took place back within the timeline and just kept getting more convoluted, if it means we can keep the ideal cast, you know what I mean? If the options are convoluted, overstuffed timeline and shitty ass Logan twist I don't care about, I'm taking convoluted overstuffed every time. So John traps all the cancer scammers in their own warehouse thing. And again, the traps here are super over the top. We have the infamous bone marrow thing.
Gabriella has to cut, not only does she have to cut her leg off, she has to put a giant marrow-sucking needle into the bone and suck out enough marrow to not get her head cut off.
It's over the top.
With the bone marrow? It's good, though. It's good. Loved it.
But you know what, though? Why chop off the leg
Mary,
if you're not gonna get it done in the time? What are we doing?
Also, when you're staring down the barrel of a pretty fucking quick decapitation, just say your God, just say your
Just do that.
Just say your Hail Mary and be done. Who's gonna fucking do that in 2 minutes?
It kind of was not enough time, I thought.
No, 20. But then it's a real long movie.
A guy has to perform brain surgery on himself. Cecilia takes the intestines out of one of the dead people and attempts to use it as a rope to escape. That wasn't even part of a trap. She just did that. She's just a freak.
Cecilia, she's so terrible because she had to be a villain that made Jigsaw look good.
Yes, it's true. Correct. No cop plot in this one, but Cecilia's man,
Is she and her husband, question mark?
Lover.
Are like in on it?
comes to save her, and John says something about how she's gonna burn you, man. Surely that's just a surface bit of advice from one man to another. That's not foreshadowing anything. Together, Cecilia and man put Jigsaw and Carlos, the little boy, in one of the traps.
Bloodboarding.
They put him in his own trap.
They put him in his own trap, which is a really big thing for Drink it. Just drink it.
Drink it.
He's on a seesaw with this little boy. So then, like, John's getting waterboarded with blood, but then the kid's like, I'm gonna save you. And then he does it, and then they're both kind of just doing it.
And in true screenwriting 101 fashion, they reincorporate the Spanish word that Carlos taught John. Carlos, no hala! And it's so cheesy and bizarrely heartfelt and like feel good for a Saw movie. It feels like the third act of a Jim Carrey movie where he's running home being like, I love my son!
Jigsaw is a defender of kids, though.
He is a defender of kids.
He's only kidnapped one kid.
I don't know why I want to root for Jigsaw, but I really do.
Well, because he's like a kind old man. And he's
In this one,
he's fucking over scammers who are like scamming people. Cancer.
No, they're like irreconcilably evil.
And they're like super rich. Like, no, these people fucking suck. Like, good for you people.
Yeah.
Cecilia and her guy go to get their big bag of cancer scam money and get out of there, but they trip a wire thing that traps them in the room and frees Jigsaw and Carlos. That worked out perfectly. John knew they would put him in the trap, and then they'd go to get the money and trip on that wire all along. Cecilia, like, pretty much immediately kills her guy.
Only one can survive. And the choice is yours.
Oh, she burned him. And the room starts filling with gas, perhaps the same gas from the nerve gas house. This might have been Jigsaw's trial run. And John, Amanda, and Carlos leave as this weird kind of found family. Again, bizarrely heartwarming. The true bombshell twist of this one comes in the form of a post-credits scene in which John hunts down the support group guy who told him about the treatment in Mexico, and he chains him up in Saw bathroom. And who is there to help but Detective Mark Hoffman?
Where's your skull? Thank you, Detective, for locating my fellow cancer patient.
Out of all the men to cheat, you picked John Kramer? I mean, I call that epic bad luck.
That's what I call epic bad luck.
Epic!
Truly baffling.
I never thought I would be excited to see Mark Hoffman again. And I was so excited.
It was like drinking water. It was like
It's like I've been wandering in a desert
for 5 hours, and I suddenly see him.
Saw X is a fever dream. I love it a lot. It's really just a pleasant romp. This is a hopeful glimpse into where the Saw series may go from here. No spinning off, no apprentice reveal for the 80th time, just our good old pals doing what they do best, crammed within like a 1-year period of hyper productivity. Saw 11 is in production as we speak. Kevin, our beloved editor from the middle Saws, is back on as our director. Things are looking up. Congratulations, graduates from the School of Saw 2024. Woo!
I feel like we've achieved something.
Yeah.
Like,
We've earned our stripes. Like, in summary, Saw is one hell of a ride. Saw 1 was a genuinely groundbreaking piece of low-budget filmmaking that changed the horror landscape and left a permanent mark on the genre. Saw 2 was a rip-off turned sequel. Saw 3 found its footing as a kind of escape room. Saw 4 introduced wacky plot elements and convoluted lore that gets built up and out in 5 and 6. Saw 7 wraps it all up with a pretty bow. Jigsaw sucks. Spiral is not a Saw movie. And Saw X reopens the Book of Saw, as it were, from a new perspective, with Jigsaw as our unabashed protagonist, anti-hero, punisher of evil cancer scammers, befriender and defender of the youth. Where the series goes from here is anyone's guess. If I was tasked with writing the next Saw movie, what I would do is I would go back in, rewatch the movies, and find anywhere where there was like an auxiliary person in a trap that didn't have a backstory or really any chance of survival. For example, the guy that Amanda had to cut the key out of in the reverse bear trap scene. We don't know who he is. He couldn't have survived that. He was doomed from the start. I would go back in, pick a handful of these kinds of characters, give them backstories, maybe have them somehow survive at the 11th hour and become apprentices, or get their own trap based around them, Jeff style, and that's the movie. That would be, I think, the easiest way to prolong the series without adding anything new, because there's so much here, and whenever we can use what we already have, I think that's what's most satisfying. But it's kind of silly to offer writing advice to the Saw series, because we don't like it because the writing is good. We like it because it's bad in a camp way that baffles and amazes at every turn, and it's sheer incomprehensibility. I don't want the writing in Saw to get better. I want it to get sillier. I think that's what makes me hopeful about our trajectory, because Saw X was deeply silly. I'm really not sure where to leave you here with this conclusion. You've just listened to over 2 hours of me recapping the Saw series. Is there anything to be learned? I think what really intrigues me about the Saw series is its sticking power. There's something about it that stays with you. People that have seen all the Saw movies want to talk to you about all the Saw movies. You may have noticed these tally marks on my shirt appeared in between filming the intro and the Nat and Ansley parts. I went on a college grad bar crawl thing, and the shirts everyone wore were these red and white printed things, but I didn't have time to buy one, so in a pinch, I just threw on the one red and white shirt I own, and this is my Wade Boggs drink tally. But the bloody Saw shirt was quite the conversation starter. When people would ask me about it, and I would explain that my friends and I made these shirts to watch the whole Saw series, I would basically get 2 kinds of responses. Number 1, oh my gosh, that's so funny, that's so fun for you guys, love that. Or number 2, you've seen the whole Saw series? I've seen the whole Saw series. I talked with a friend of a friend I barely know at length about unsecured doors and Piranha and the flashback with the backwards cap. There's sort of a pride in having seen the whole Saw series. It's like you yourself survived a Saw trap. It's quite an ordeal to sit through, and people like sharing their war stories. And I guess ultimately that's why I wanted to make this video. Because watching all the Saws is a serious time investment, one that not many people have to spend, and even if they do, that doesn't mean that they actually have any interest or could even stomach watching the Saw movies. But I've witnessed so many things. Horrible things. Wonderful things, hilarious things. And I guess my only way to share this thing that now takes up so much space in my brain is to consolidate it so it can be casually understood outside of my own immediate friend group. Really, I'm spreading the gospel of Saw so that I can make more random Saw references in day-to-day life with a higher likelihood of being understood. I hope you got some kind of enjoyment out of this. I had the time of my life making it. I hope you chuckled and cackled. If you liked it, you might like watching the Saw series for yourself. Be warned, the violence is quite violent, but the hilarity is quite hilarious. And the doors, quite unsecured. If you did enjoy this, please be sure to hit the like button, the subscribe, leave me a cutesy comment. Subscribe to see more, please. We are about to hit 10,000 followers, and that is insane. And I would love for you to be part of that. If you would like to see more of me, you can follow me on my socials, which are linked on my channel. And you can also support me on Patreon to get your name listed in the credits of the next video I make, as well as progress updates and exclusive content. I'm gonna edit together the full footage of me, Nat, and Ansley recapping the Saw series, and that'll be exclusively available to Patreon. So if you want to listen to our whole, like, 5-hour podcast, that'll be on Patreon for you. Well, thank you guys for being the inaugural guest stars on the channel.
Thank you for having us.
Anything you guys want to promote or anything?
My book Survive is next month.
And I'm also implementing something from one of my favorite YouTubers who I already mentioned once in this video, bigjoel. He does something called the Patreon question of the video, and I just thought that was a really fun way to get people involved and a nice little prize to have, and I like talking about myself, so sure, it's a win-win. So if you join Patreon, you can get in on that action too, and I will do that in a second when I'm done with this whole outro thing. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to check out the other videos on my channel. I also make music. I have 2 full albums. They're called Lolulo and Moonflower. Moonflower is the more recent one. I was told it is, quote, a triumph. That's something someone really said to me. Don't take my word for it. This is just what the streets are saying. They're saying it's good. Okay, I think that's it. With that, game over. Bye! Today we have this one from Quasnarg. Hopefully I said that right. Who asks, spirit animals are for chumps. What's your spirit plant? Animal Kingdom, catching a stray there. I love this though. I'm very into plants. I have, over the last couple years, developed like a very sudden interest in like plants and like plant symbolism and like literature and like culture. Like in like the Victorian era, there was this really in-depth like flower code. Like people would give each other bouquets and like depending on what was in it, they could literally tell you like warning, danger, like your husband's cheating, whatever. So I've read a couple like books about that kind of thing and it's really interesting to me. I mean, I guess I would feel like I was kind of betraying my little tattoo if I didn't say pine tree. This is for, growing up in my childhood home, there were a lot of pine trees in the backyard, and I was very much like a get home from school, play outside, like talk to myself, make up stories, sing little songs, like that kind of kid. And yeah, I really like pine trees. I would always climb them, and I like that they're green all year round. Like in terms of like symbolism, there's very like eternal life, rebirth, protection, like that kind of thing. A lot of pine trees are edible, like spruces, the tips in the spring, I think. The new tips you can eat. They're kind of like lemony, and you can make like honey with them to put in like tea and stuff. I guess I'll go pine tree. That was a great question. I love plants. Thank you for watching. Bye!